Hey guys, if you haven't watched The Thing, please, please, please turn this off now. Go watch this movie and then listen to this podcast.
Yeah, do not spoil it for yourself.
Yes. You will appreciate this so much more if you watch it ahead of time. Thank you.
You lick my plate, you dog dick!
We have such sights to show you.
Never alone.
Let this be a lesson to you. Say no to drugs.
You are all my children now.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Vintage Horror Podcast, where we talk about all horror, not just the vintage kind. I'm your host, Kylie, and with me today I have Marky
Hey, what's going on, guys?
and Robbie.
That's Uncle Robbie to you.
There you go. Today we will be discussing The Thing from 1982.
Do you want to discuss the 2-hour technical difficulty we just had or no?
Absolutely not. But first, we'll crack a cold one open with the boys. What's up with you, Robbie? Tell us. Crack one with us.
Well, nothing too crazy, unless you're a major Star Wars fan like me. But this isn't a Star Wars podcast, so I won't keep talking about it.
No,
but,
we could always mention it. It has something to do with our lives. That's what cracking a cold one is.
all right, absolutely. So, obviously, this past weekend was Star Wars Celebration. For those of you who may not know, it's the largest convention every year of Star Wars fans and official media, hosted by Disney and various other organizations affiliated. So this year they showed off a lot. And I mean a lot. We got the official first teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 9.
Correct.
We've got footage and panel conversations about the new live-action series, The Mandalorian.
Correct.
We have a new video game on the way in Jedi Fallen Order.
Correct.
The Clone Wars is returning for a brand new season.
Did not know that.
Is that the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar voices or no?
It's Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
So, in addition to that, Star Wars Resistance is been brought back for season 2. I don't know why anybody wouldn't think that would happen. It's just generating cash flow right now. Of course, it was going to come back for season 2. I haven't watched Resistance yet. That's a series I haven't gotten into. I feel like I go through this with every Star Wars series where I say, it looks really too cartoonish for me. And then I start watching it and I said, oh, nope, this is Star Wars. Okay. But this one in particular looks like it's targeting a very young demographic. But I'll probably give it a shot after a little bit of time goes by. That all said and done, I think the most important thing is that they're using Celebration to begin really heavily marketing Disney Plus, this new streaming service, which is coming in at $6.99 for a subscription fee. And, you really don't realize until I saw the trailer that this is going to have a lot on it. Disney owns so many franchises and it owns so much material, and it has quite a bit of potential. Like The Mandalorian, for example, is going to be a Disney Plus exclusive series. And it's got some big name directors behind it. Bryce Dallas Howard, Jon Favreau, Taika Waititi. Major directors behind this work. So I'm really excited for that. But it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. A lot of toxicity in the fandom, but regardless, it's a great time to be a fan.
By the way, Disney Plus does not sponsor us. They should after that fucking ad. Is that it? Is that the only cold thing you have to crack? Or
I mean, there's a particular movie trailer which came out recently, but I think before we go into that, I'd like to hear from my guy Mark over there in the corner. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I don't watch Star Wars, so I don't give a shit about Star Wars Celebration.
Tell the fans, tell the fans out there, what'd you go see? What movie?
appreciate that, Mark.
I saw Star Wars 3. Not recently, but when it came out. I saw it on a Saturday morning. It was really annoying.
Please.
But Nothing much really going on this week. I was on vacation last week from work. Me and Kyle went to Atlanta, saw Scream 2 where it was filmed. And it was fun. Went to Waffle House a couple times.
Twice.
Our plane ride home was like delayed 7 hours, so that was cool.
3 hours.
Well, we sat in the airport from 1:22 to 7:30 at night.
No, I think the plane didn't take off till after 8.
Yeah, but we were on what I'm saying, we were in the airport, then we went to the tarmac.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What for delaying
Rob
our
drove
plane?
us.
Oh,
I appreciate
they meant
that, Rob.
delaying our plane.
Appreciate that, Rob.
I'm like, thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Not too much going on. We got that patch and pin convention we're going to this weekend, me and Kyle and our friend Johnny. I don't collect pins or patches or anything, but I'm just going to hang out. I don't like feeling left out.
Thanks for the
Got
invite.
FOMO.
Rob, do you want to come? It's
Yeah,
$10.
you can come
Where can I buy my ticket?
online right now.
I don't even know what the website
All right,
is.
website.
right after we're done recording, I'm going to buy my ticket.
Okay.
It's Saturday.
We're
You know
going
that,
Saturday morning.
This Saturday?
right? Yes,
Yes.
to New York.
Please don't fucking start this shit. What the fuck? Don't roll your fucking eyes. And,
What do you have to do? Come on, let's go.
This Saturday, I
It's a
can't.
little short notice, guys.
The fuck do you mean? What the fuck do you have to do Saturday?
What are you doing Saturday?
Stuff.
You're okay. You're fucking pissed.
Do
me
your
off.
stuff.
Do you actually have shit to do Saturday or not?
I think so.
Okay.
So
So you're,
annoying.
we'll say you're off your job tomorrow. Do your stuff on Saturday, on Friday.
But Fridays for Friday things.
You are really fucking irritating sometimes.
And then next weekend, I got show theater. I'm going to go with our fucking friend Steve, who's the stupidest fuck ever.
Steve's a fucking snake.
Well, he's an idiot, so I can't wait to see how this goes. But other than that, back to my normal life, working this week. Terrible, hate my job. What about you, Kylo? Ren? Oh.
Well, yeah, Mark pretty much said it all. We went to the Onset Cinema for Scream 2. We were the only people there that didn't have a blanket or chairs to sit in. So at the campus it was filmed at, we just grabbed the bench and pulled it up. Like a little memorial type bench. We just picked it up and carried it over.
Like put the people's names like black on them.
Yeah.
It wasn't for anybody dead. It
It
was
said
for
something
people
about
in a
they
class.
donated it, I think, in 2013.
Yeah, it was for people in the class of 2013. So
Shout,
it's not like
shout
anybody-
out to the donating people out there.
Yeah, it wasn't anybody dead, but that was pretty cool. I stood on the table. Well, I stood in the cafeteria on a table where Jerry O'Connell stood in Scream 2 and sang that I think I love you, but what am I so afraid of? That's the song. And that was pretty fun. I played some Pokemon.
That was breathtaking.
Friday 13th, talk about it. Our trip.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Remember when we went to the Friday 13th camp?
Oh, yeah. So
Okay, so before Kyle tells you this, I got to preface this with the fact that we have a long history of very inconvenient luck. At least I do. So when I heard about this, I straight looked at my phone and I just started dying laughing because this is exactly something that would happen to you.
So the Onset Cinema was Saturday in the afternoon. So Saturday we woke up like early.
Yeah, we got up at 8.
Yeah, got ready, and we didn't even eat yet. We were just like, fuck it, we're not really that hungry. Let's just go to this place first. So we drove an hour to Camp Daniel Morgan, which is in Hard Work. What is it called? Hard Labor Creek Park.
Yeah, Hard Labor Creek Park, yeah.
In
That's where they
Georgia.
filmed. That's where they filmed Jason Lives.
Right, that's where they filmed Jason Lives, Friday 13th, Part 6. And we get all the way there, and there's a car in front of us, and the whole time Mark's like, oh, I wonder if they're I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going the same like place we are. And Mark's like, if they turn into the park, they're definitely they're doing the same shit we are. So they turn into the park, and then they make the same turn down the road that leads to the camp. And we're like, they're probably here for Onset Cinema.
It's also a rental car, too.
Yeah, a rental car. It was a rental car. I did notice that. So I'm like, oh, it's probably somebody for Onset Cinema just doing the same thing we are, checking out the Friday 13th site since it's so close. Fucking, we get to like this little like circle parking lot kind of thing, and you could see the fucking cabins in the background, and the parking lot's full. And we're like, what the fuck is happening? And there's people, like grown-ass 40 to 50-year-old men dressed up like fucking knights. With fucking swords, dog. They're fucking LARPers. Swear, like, of all things that would interrupt our fucking trip, LARPing's not one of the things I thought would.
Yeah.
Ever in my life, ever.
And then I got a Facebook invite to a LARPing event. I looked at it and I see you guys commenting on it like, "Yo, you mind if we stop by and just take some photos? No
Yeah.
big deal, guys. Like,
So-
I appreciate you
Shout
guys
out
reaching out.
Dreamstone XL.
Yeah. So what had happened was we went to because Cavity Colors told us on.
Didn't tell us. Me.
Yes, they did. Well, they told me on Instagram. If you just go to the main cabin or the main office, the park office, you can give them your ID and tell them why you're there, and they give you keys to the cabins, so you can check out inside the cabins too. So we after we saw the LARPers, I'm like, I think we should just go to the main park office, see what the fuck's up. So we go there, and I asked the guy, I'm like, yeah, if it's possible, we'd like to check out where Friday the 13th was filmed. And he's like, oh yeah, no, that's reserved for today. You usually have to reserve that, or if it's open, we can just let you in. And I'm like, okay, so is it reserved for tomorrow? He's like, oh, I don't know. You have to come back to the park. I'm like, we're not driving an hour back to this fucking park just for them to say yeah, they're still fucking LARPing out there. So
They're entrenched in. They're under siege.
So Mark did some Googling because he's a Google wizard, and he found their Facebook and then an event specifically for that weekend. They were there the weekend before, and they also had it for 2 weeks after that weekend. They reserve the shit all the time to go fucking LARP all weekend. From what was it, Thursday to Sunday or Friday to Sunday?
Friday to Sunday.
Friday to Sunday.
But I found probably 4 past events, honestly, in the same place since January.
Yeah.
Large crowd?
It was-
the
the
parking lot was
parking lot
almost
was
full.
full.
Yeah. There was maybe 2 spots left.
I don't even think there was 2 spots when we pulled in.
How
The
many
people in front of us pulled into one, and I think there was one a couple down.
How many people you think?
I don't know. I'm guessing at least 40 to 50. That's my guess. I don't know because we couldn't see how many people. There was just 2 people in the parking lot, getting set up and dressed.
Are they taking applications?
I don't know. I don't know. So when he found the event, I decided I sent you, Andrew, and Johnny a fucking invite to their event.
I was like, I looked at my phone. First of all, I looked at your text, and that's what I said before. I looked down at your phone, and I was thinking, oh, he's gonna send me a picture or something from. And then it's just like, what are the chances that I would be here and there would be a LARPing convention or I'm like, what? Then 15 minutes later, my phone goes off and I'm like, oh, what's this? Kyle and Burge invited you to an event, and I opened it and it was like LARPing Dreamscape at Park. I'm like, what is even happening?
But we didn't even notice, on the way up, there was, signs, but they were, cut out to shields.
Yeah.
And it said, SCA, whatever, I guess it's their group.
It's their
But
guild.
we didn't even put it together until, I was like, wait a second. That makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't know if it had something to do with the park though, so I didn't think anything of it until we saw the LARPers, and I'm like, oh.
And another thing is, the only reason I know what LARPing is from the movie Role Models, because the one kid character does it. I don't remember his name, Christopher Pintz or whatever the fuck his name is in real life. And then Kyle's he'd never seen that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie.
And he knows what LARPing is, so that's
Yeah.
weird to me.
I tried telling Mark we're fucking losers. I've never LARPed, but I know what LARPing is.
I mean, technically, we might have kind of did LARP when we were kids.
With lightsabers and shit.
Yeah.
We had a Jedi Council that
Yeah.
met every week, and then we whipped the shit out of each other with plastic
Yeah.
lightsabers.
I don't know if you were ever around but me, Nick Koch, and Connor, we all started doing Naruto shit too in the woods.
Is that why I saw you running across the
We
community
would
park
do
one day?
we knew all the hand signals and everything, the hand signs for fucking Naruto, dude. We were fucking the shit. Anyway, so we go out to eat. We're like, fuck. Well, I'm not going back. We're not going to interrupt their fucking LARPing. They paid to be there. They reserved it. So we went to Waffle House, and I wrote on the fucking event wall. I'm like, yeah, if it's okay, Sunday. Me and my friend flew out from New Jersey. If it's okay Sunday, as long as we're out of the way, can we stop by and take pictures? We didn't get any reply until we're at the fucking airport on Sunday, and they're like, "Oh, how'd the pictures come out? We left around noonish." I'm like, "Yeah, motherfucker, you guys never said anything, so we didn't fucking go." And
You need to raise your communication points.
and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we barely get any service out there," and I didn't answer. And somebody reacted to it and put a sad, crying fucking reaction. I'm like, "What fucking cunt?
Oh, that's great.
What a little bitch!"
Oh my
I loved
god!
it.
Oh my god. So yeah,
Wonderful.
that was silly. What is his name? Kenny that runs Onset
Kenny.
Cinema. He was awkward, but he's cool as fuck. We'll probably go to Onset Cinema for the Prowler at least. Me and Mark. Mark might do It Follows.
The only reason I'm hesitant of that is because Horror Hound weekends that weekend, and I'm nervous if they get anyone that I need to meet. And I would fly to Indianapolis in a heartbeat because it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Didn't you meet somebody while you were in Atlanta?
Yeah, so Elise Neal. Well, okay. We like MMA here. Now this isn't an MMA podcast, but it just so happened after we booked the trip to Atlanta they also announced that UFC was going to be in Atlanta, and me and Mark and Rob's come before. We always, whenever it's in New York, we go up and we meet fighters. So we went to the Fighter Hotel Friday night, met some people, and then at Onset Cinema we met Elise Neal, who played
Hallie.
Haley in Scream 2. She was like the guest that they brought in, and she was like cool as fuck.
Yeah, the whole experience was a lot better than I thought it would go, honestly.
Yeah, it was, and honestly, the people who were there weren't obnoxious. They all seemed like nice people.
Yeah.
And the whole time we're in Georgia, Mark just kept talking about Southern hospitality.
It's real.
But like those people were so fucking nice there.
Southern hospitality is real.
There was the one guy who was talking to us about how we need more melanin in our skin.
I don't remember that.
The guy who stopped us and asked us what time the fucking movie started, and when we told him how old fucking Elise Neal was, he was
okay,
like,
that my guy.
he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe how old she is. We need more. What do they have in their skin? Melanin or whatever?" He's like, "We need some of that."
Yeah,
and then he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Well, not just us three, like white people in general." And we're like, what?" And he's like, "Maybe I'm gonna." He's like, "I'm gonna go before I say anything else that's real stupid." And we're like, "All right."
I mean, we do live in the angriest state in the country, probably most likely. Even when I went to
Or New York.
yeah.
But I was just talking to someone about this. Like, our way of living is so different. Like, I'm so used to everything being on top of each other.
Yeah, we were talking about that when we were driving.
Yeah, and I was just talking to someone about that today, too, at work. Like, as much as I hate cold weather, I could never not imagine living on top of everything.
Right. Like there, it's like to get anywhere, you have to hit a big open highway
Yeah.
to get to anything.
Oh, I know. Like for me, where I live, it's awesome because I could walk in any direction for 5-10 minutes and I could hit any major type of store that I could ever need.
Yeah.
And that is amazingly convenient. That's something living in this area. You can live in a suburb that feels isolated and then 10 minutes later be in a major metropolitan area.
Right.
It's great.
But their isolation is real isolation. Like you literally have to get in a car and drive 10, 15 minutes to like go anywhere at all to anything. It's fucking weird. I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I love living in New Jersey as much of a shithole as it is in other people's
I just
areas.
hate snow, so if it didn't snow, I'd be fine. I hate
that's
cold
true.
weather.
It was real nice when we were there. So it was real cool. Shout out to Kenny from Myers House
Yeah.
because he is really cool.
Rob, even if you don't like The Prowler, I don't know if you've ever seen
he
it.
said he's never seen it.
You're going to see it.
Yeah, come with us.
$20.
Where's it going to be?
Cape May. It's going to be at the inn where the movie was filmed.
I mean, why not? Maybe we can do an episode on it.
We can, but the only problem is taking notes. We can't like pause it. And
But I'm
take
saying we
notes
could do it beforehand. Like,
and then go. We can.
yeah, we can do that.
I'm fine with that. I like the movie.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be cool as fuck.
When was it made?
81.
Yeah.
Sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I want to do the Mutilator too so bad.
Yeah.
They have so many
South Carolina, North Carolina.
North Carolina. They have so many
people
going to it.
Well, two of them were actors. The other people is like a writer and
Yeah.
somebody who did like the soundtrack. I don't like that movie though. Spoiler alert.
Wow, those are going to be my next pick. So
You can make it your pick.
really weird.
I'll still read it. Besides that, I don't know. I took off Thursday and Friday from work. Well, we flew out Friday, and then Monday I had off work after we got back. So that was cool. Just been working this last week. Kind of getting ready for this, and that's about it.
I also heard you got your Endgame tickets.
Oh, shit, dog. So Rob's probably going to hate me, but
He's got tickets ready.
do you?
For Saturday.
Oh, I have them for Thursday. So I will Monday morning. Shout out to
did you
Johnny
kill?
again. Shout out to Johnny again. Monday morning, I woke up to a text and he said they added show times for Howl, and I looked at 6:45 and it was sold out. So then I looked at 8 p.m. and they had like a bunch of tickets left. So I bought me and Sam like together. There was nobody else next to us. I mean, like no other seats next to us. There was like
Wow.
the second or third to last row, like towards the back, and there was like all the seats were taken in the like the back 4 rows, except for like these 2 that were next to each other. I said, "How fucking convenient."
This is insane, man. This is a once in a lifetime experience. It's a cinematic achievement.
It's a bubble that's gonna burst, though.
Of course, it has to.
I don't think it will for a while, honestly.
Nothing's gonna outsell this.
Well, not outsell it, but I'm saying I don't think it will like go downhill. Like,
I mean, what's crazy to me is that I always used to hear growing up, like especially when Star Wars Episode 3 was coming out, people were like, "This is going to be the Titanic of your generation."
I've
Then
seen
Avatar,
Star Wars 3.
but then Avatar came out, and they're like, "This is the Titanic of your generation." How many Titanics of this generation are we gonna have? It seems like every other year you just reach a next bar in cinema, but at some point it has to give. The market has to collapse for it.
Well, the problem with that is it's going to break records no matter what, because back when Titanic was around, one, I doubt they did many midnight releases, if at all, and two, they have Thursday showings now, like all from like 6 o'clock on. And some theaters, especially with Endgame, almost every fucking theater is showing it. So they're going to break records. Like, that's just how it's going to be now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one by me in Hazlitt, I think the Cinemark, by the end of the night, every theater is gonna have. It's only gonna be Endgame.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
sure.
no other.
That's
movie
how
showing.
like all the AMC's are, and I don't think Howl Escape is like that yet, because they only have, I think, 4 or 5 showings now. But I wouldn't be surprised if they had more. So
yeah, we've talked about it before. Right now, the superhero franchises are keeping movie theaters alive. They're gonna bank. They're gonna bank every single penny they can while they can.
Yeah.
Before this bubble bursts. And speaking of movies, I don't know if you
Yep, that's fine.
if you guys have had a chance to take a look yet, but last time we recorded, we talked about Mark Hamill being announced as the voice of Chucky in the new Child's Play, and just not too long after that, in between our time sessions here recording, they've released the new trailer for Child's Play.
Yep.
So I would like to hear and just maybe talk about what we think about this thing, because now this is the first time we've heard Mark Hamill as Chucky, and we've seen maybe a little bit more background of some of the plot points that were changed and some of the setting changes and the modernization of the franchise a little bit. So I'm interested to hear everybody's thoughts on that.
Well, I'll go first because I know you guys hate when I say things like this, but I love Aubrey Plaza, and
I don't hate it.
I hope she doesn't die.
She's gonna die.
And if she does, I hope it is like the best kill in the movie. Like, I hope it's worth it.
I hope it's an off-screen kill.
I literally hate you. No, but it's okay. So I guess the whole Wi-Fi thing that we had previously talked about, I guess it's almost like a Apple Home thing,
Yeah.
or like an Alexa Chucky, where it can control everything, and you control Chucky though from your phone. Cool concept. I don't mind Mark Hamill doing the voice. It sounds good. It sounds like Mark Hamill though. It's weird that it's not Brad Dourif, but it is what it is. I don't know. I don't really have much to say besides that.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It reminded me of, towards the end of the trailer, it reminded me of like Saw.
Yeah.
A lot of it looked like Saw
Yeah, it
type,
did,
like,
yeah.
thriller
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, you guys
The
can
thing
give
with
your
the
opinion.
voice is like what they put in, like, because it's only like what he only says a couple words.
Yeah.
They're not going to put in a bad thing, you know. They're going to make sure that part they put in is perfect.
Yes.
So it sounded good. Honestly, it didn't sound terrible. But then again, I never grew up watching Star Wars, so like Mark Hamill's voice isn't to me like Luke Skywalker. So it didn't sound like out of place. It kind of sounded like a Chucky voice. So
I don't think it's his voice that. I don't know. He's good at voice acting. He's good at changing his voice.
yeah,
It's, if anything, it sounds more like the Joker than Mark Hamill.
yeah, I guess, yeah. But I don't know. It looks interesting, but I hope they don't change it too much where it's not Chucky, you know.
Yeah.
And it looks like
Right.
they kind of are. But
Right.
I love Child's Play. Child's Play 3 is the best ever. I told you that. Don't at me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear Mark Hamill's take on it. He can really put some dramatas behind his voice and get that creepy, sinister sound to him. And it sounds like that's where he's going with it a little bit. I don't know. I'm a little weird about the update. I mean, I know it's kind of dumb to continue with the whole voodoo trait and everything, but I guess maybe the nostalgia factor is there for me for the original film. But then again, to me now it just seems like Terminator mixed with Saw, mixed with Chucky.
It's almost Terminator.
Yeah, it really is.
You know,
honestly.
But what can I say? I'm a little worried because there are just some. I'm looking at it. I'm like,
You don't want Aubrey Plaza to die. Me neither, dude. I get it.
yeah, you're right, dude. I don't know how you knew what I was gonna say, man. No, I don't. I'm worried more or less that it might come out as a comedy, more than an actual horror movie.
It doesn't really look like it though in the trailer.
I don't know, because that kid's like, something's wrong with Chucky. I'm like, okay, that's a really ham-fisted line. Like, and then the whole like, there's a scene where some Christmas lights in the trailer where he's like being pulled in, and I don't know. It just looks like it could end up being a film where they're trying to be serious, but it ends up being comical. Like you laugh at it more often than not.
I thought you meant they were gonna make it comical on purpose.
Or
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant too.
Yeah.
no, I think it's one of those things sometimes where the movie ends up being so takes itself too seriously to the point where it becomes a comedic piece.
I think we're in 2019 where they know that Chucky as a killer doll isn't horrifying like that, and it's gonna be self-aware that it has to be a
Most
little
likely.
bit
So maybe
silly,
that's why they switched everything to Wi-Fi and whatnot.
I guess.
Because people have talked about that forever, where like robots and bullshit would take over. So
Well, kids want smart toys.
yeah,
If they can't interact with it with their tablet, it's not tangible to them.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I really didn't like. It looks like he controls like a drone and
Yeah,
shit,
car
and,
and,
it's like,
shit.
And at that point, it's like he can pretty much control the world. And it reminds me of almost like Mark fell asleep, so he wouldn't understand. But
When did I fall asleep?
Age of Ultron, Avengers: Age of
Was it
Ultron.
which one where he's cutting the wood?
Yeah,
I seen that one. He literally hacked something, cut wood, and I fell asleep.
yeah, because you know how like Ultron kind of uploaded himself into the internet.
Yeah.
Why can't Chucky do the same? And then he's literally everywhere. He doesn't have to be inside that doll anymore.
That's what I think it looks like, honestly, when he's like in the car and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because they don't show him. Same thing with the drone. They just show the drone.
right.
You know, somebody needs to do a super edit where that scene when Ultron's flying and all the Ultron drones are running at the Avengers, and just put a whole bunch of Chuckies in that, and I'll be so happy with that. Somebody out there,
I didn't catch that part.
Somebody listening out there, you know what to do. We'll be proud of you.
Mark literally fell asleep at the part where they're cutting wood, and then he woke up, and Tony starts hacking into the system, and he's like, "You don't want me to find you, but I'm going
hacking
to."
even though you don't.
Yeah,
And then
he's like,
then I fell asleep. Then I woke up and I was like, "Wait, what happened to the fucking dude?"
to Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Like he's dead.
Spoiler.
I'm like, this is great, Mark. This is.
But
real
what's
good.
weird is like I liked the first Avengers and I liked Infinity War.
That's exactly how a lot of people felt about Age of Ultron. That's you just summed it up perfectly. I like the first one and the third one.
But I fell asleep because I like can't go to the movies late anymore. I fall right to sleep. I was just falling asleep before during our technical difficulties, so
Yeah.
that's for another time.
Another time, another place.
But I think it's time to get into the main event.
Yes, The Thing from 1982. Man is the warmest place to hide. Honestly, it's probably one of the best taglines any movie.
Yep.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
What's the tagline?
What, you can't eat ice cream in outer space, right, or something like that.
But the
'Cause
thing
it's
is,
making fun of Alien when it
Yeah,
says no, you can't scream in outer space, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
okay, so that's kind of good. I didn't know if you were aware that it made fun of that. So it was rated R. It runs for an hour and 49 minutes, roughly, a little bit less than that. Has an 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't know if you have this info because I know Johnny sent us that site.
No,
But the
right.
budget was 15 million, and it grossed only 13.7 million in the U.S.
I thought it was 19 million total. Like had 15 million budget. And
I think
19
worldwide market maybe, but it's U.S. domestic gross
No,
was
I think he's talking about the budget.
the budget.
No, I'm saying the budget was 15 million. I think the gross total was 19 million. I could be wrong.
Maybe
might
across
be
the world.
Yeah, it might be worldwide gross, but yeah, 13.7. It didn't make its budget back.
No, and
That's
we
crazy.
had talked about this before. This was a failure, this movie, when it first came out. But you also have to remember, movies back then, it's not like it was released in every theater at once.
Yeah.
Like Halloween had to move from theater to theater to theater to theater.
Yeah.
And
Same thing with Jaws too.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I think this still was back then.
Yeah, and another issue that pops up during this time is the fact that you're coming off the back of a horror movie like Alien, and the marketplace also had just seen E.T. And that was a lovable, friendly alien and a more family-oriented alien. And I don't know if the market was right for another sci-fi, big-budget sci-fi horror film. I don't know if the budget
it came out
was
like the
there.
week after E.T.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it was up against a Titanic Spielberg release like that and just couldn't keep pace, or maybe there wasn't an audience right there for it at the time.
I just think it was ahead of its time, and people didn't understand because it's not that people were repulsed by this movie.
Yes.
People were like the special effects are because the special effects in this movie were some of the best that have ever come out.
You know,
ever.
you know what's wild about that
That's the
too?
point.
They still are, in my opinion.
Is the dude that did the special effects and like practical effects
Uh-huh.
was like 21 years old.
Yes.
yeah,
I
he
did
was
know
like
that.
he was just the beginning of his
Yeah,
trade.
it was
Yeah.
one of his first movies he ever did.
My
How fucking
gosh.
crazy is that? I
Yeah.
don't remember his name, but
No, me neither. But and like I had said before, this movie failed, and John Carpenter took it really fucking hard. Like he was so because this is his favorite movie that he's ever made. He said, and it really like hurt his feelings when this didn't do well. Fun fact: I don't know if you know this or if you know this, Rob.
I know everything.
So, this was the first of John Carpenter's films that he didn't score himself. He didn't do the soundtrack.
I knew that because the composer, don't have the name off the top of my head. It's
Beethoven?
Morricone, I think, an Italian composer who was really well known at the time, actually got a Razzie for his score in this film that year.
That's like
Really?
that's the shitty.
That is
Yeah,
like
that's
that
the
is
shit.
the shitty
Yeah.
word. He got and people lambasted his soundtrack as generic or weak.
Yeah.
And we look back and we're like, "What movie did you watch?" And he took it personally too.
Yeah.
He tried. He spent so much time going back over Carpenter's works and learning the type of musical cues that fit his film. And I think that he did such a good job marrying his style to Carpenter's filmmaking style.
Well, it literally sounds like John Carpenter wrote the score, though.
But to see it get a Razzie was like blows,
Yeah, so-
You know
blows
why?
my mind.
Because Halloween was out 2 years prior or 3 years prior, and that thing was like, oh my god,
4.
4 years prior, and everyone probably still had that in mind, like how Halloween score was so good.
Well, I think he made movies in between, but so and that guy wasn't even the original guy who was assigned to the task of making the score. That though, because somebody, I forget the guy's fucking name, he got hired to do the score and actually died. So then,
Yeah.
so then like Italian guy, what's his name?
I think it's Morricone.
He got hired, and yeah, he just like pretty much studied Carpenter stuff and pretty much mimicked his style.
He did a really good job, honestly.
Amazing.
I wouldn't
And
know the
that's-
difference.
And that's the weird part about this is all of its success came after for both.
Yeah.
People hated the fucking movie and they hated the score, which blows my mind.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so we pretty much gave that away. It's directed by John Carpenter, who is known for obviously Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, Prince of Darkness, Assault on Precinct 13,
Hey.
Christine,
Boo.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Please. They Live, In the Mouth of Madness, Village of the Damned. And the best movie he directed was Ghost of Mars. So he also helped
Is
write.
DMX in that one?
No, that was Ice Cube.
Oh.
I'm just joking. That's not his best. That's
Wait,
like,
didn't we see DMX in Atlanta?
We might have. He might have been walking down the road. He was playing that Friday. It was either we were going to go to the Fighter Hotel or see DMX in Atlanta. But we didn't.
But did he give it to you?
He wasn't playing. He was playing his "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot" album, which is like his first album.
But anyway, back to the movie. Sorry.
He also helped write Halloween 2, 3, 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, and Halloween 2018.
Wait, he wrote part of 6?
Yeah, he helped.
I didn't even know that.
Well, what probably happened is they probably had the script written and like came to him because I'm
It was
assuming
a hot mess at that point.
Well, 4, I think he wanted nothing to do with it, but I think they went to him for help on those, like as like an overseer kind of thing. And he probably said, "Yeah, well, I don't give a fuck.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Just
Stop
pay
fucking
me.
asking me."
Just pay me.
Yeah. Some of the cast includes Wilford Brimley, who was in Ewoks: Battle of Endor, which I guess was like a short film or like a. Is that the child movie?
That's an animated one.
Oh.
I think. I'm gonna get a story for that
Hard
one.
Target, which I've never seen, but I think that's a bigger movie from the 80s or something, 70s, 80s.
Maybe, I don't know.
Cocoon.
He's known for Cocoon.
And The Firm, which I think that was Tom Cruise, if I'm not mistaken. Keith David, who was also in They Live. Armageddon, Pitch Black. There's Something About Mary.
His character must have been written for like a black person, because all the other people that like tried out for it were like Ernie Hudson, like Isaac Hayes. They wanted Carl Weathers. So his character must have been written for a black person.
It could have been, but I feel like John Carpenter's one of those people who just writes shit and then says, "Yeah, I don't care, whoever fits it
Yeah.
best." But maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's
'Cause I remember he was in an interview before where he talked about that, how he doesn't write for that kind of shit. It's just like, yeah, whoever fits the part. Like,
Yeah. Also, I believe the day before filming, Keith David broke his hand.
really?
Yeah, he I don't remember what he did, but he broke his hand, and they still like let him film and stuff.
Richard Masur, who was in Nightmares, It from 1990, and Risky Business, and that's pretty much all the notable cast.
I forgot something.
Kurt Russell.
Oh my God! How could I forget?
Did you do that on purpose?
Russell?
Did you do that on purpose?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
You
Come on,
stupid
you
bitch.
Come on,
I
man.
forgot to mention something that you might appreciate.
What?
When you were sitting there listening to Keith David, did he remind you of anybody? Did a voice come to mind?
Yeah, Keith David.
Yeah, that's it.
Akoto from Princess Mononoke. The large white boar.
Oh,
It's
what-
Keith David.
he,
I'm a
like,
di- you
he
know,
doesn't have like many speaking parts.
He's the
though.
narrator that starts the film.
Does he really?
Like, in a time of gods and demons.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm just saying.
I
As soon
love
as-
Princess Mononoke, but
I shouldn't have fucking said anything
That's one of my all-time favorite.
because you fucking baited me.
I know.
He got you good.
I
He got me
masturbated
too.
you because I'm the master.
Debater.
Fucking Kurt Russell, of course. How could I forget that? Come on, dude. He's the fucking goat.
Isn't that the guy from Tron?
Fucking Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2,
That's Snake Plissken to you.
Snake Plissken.
Backdraft, Big Trouble in Little China, The Fox and the Hound. That's my guy Copper Dog. Vanilla Sky and The Hateful Eight is like the biggest thing he's been in recently.
Fucking Overboard Dog with Goldie Hawn. Show some goddamn fucking respect, motherfucker.
Never heard of him.
I'm pretty sure the guy who did the music for this
Mhm.
did the music for Hateful Eight.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It's cool. Little connectivity in careers.
And I want to say Kurt Russell.
Wasn't he in like Grindhouse too and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Grindhouse.
Or Death Proof something. I don't know. One of those things.
Yeah. I think like he was in the actor that appeared in the most in like John Carpenter films than any other actor.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the cast. Unless you guys know of someone else that I missed. No one else had really big parts like in
Yeah.
horror movies or anything like that. Do you have something?
No, it's just going back to what we said about the whole critic angle. I was doing a little research earlier, and I was looking at Metacritic,
Mm-hmm.
and I was shocked because obviously when they do the critic score versus the user score, they differentiate it from a 100 percentile score to a 10 percentile score. So, like, user score is 1 out of 10,
Okay.
and critic score becomes 1 out of 100 because I guess they score in different components.
Right.
So Metacritic has the average critic rating at 57 out of 100, and the user rating is 8.8.
Yeah.
It still blows my mind to this day that critics attack this film.
That's what I said already. We already discussed that.
But I'm saying, like, even today, critics still attack this film.
I think that's from back in the day. I don't think that's critics now.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't imagine anybody attacking this film today.
Everyone knows that it's like a classic and it's really good.
Listen, don't at me. I'll fight people. I'm ready to go. Let's get into this.
All right,
let's do it.
So the movie opens with a flying saucer headed to the Earth. You know?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's Earth, right?
Yes.
We all can agree it's Earth.
Yes.
We've never been in outer space, but
And then title card. And it's like the thing all fucking like electrifying on the screen.
That's a nice title card.
Did you know that the way they made this title card is the same way that they did it? Like they recreated the same way from the original Thing from Outer Space or whatever it's called.
you know,
What is it
fucking
called?
movie.
What is it called?
Thing from Another World.
Yeah, something like that. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what it
That's
is.
it.
No, but they wanted to like recreate that, so they tried the same exact technique.
And that's from like the novella of like Who Goes There.
Yes.
Oh, like that's where where it all comes from. Yes.
Yeah, so it has a flying saucer headed to Earth, and then the title card comes up, and then it cuts to Antarctica, 1982.
And the score is kicking in at this point. That heavy bass.
doom doom.
Yeah.
I just it's so good.
Which, well, it wasn't filmed in Antarctica, guys. Just to let you know that
Yeah.
they did like the principal shooting in Alaska, and then they filmed like most of the inside scenes in L.A.
On a soundstage.
Yeah.
And they would turn their like temperature down to like 40 when it was like how hot outside? Like,
100 over
yeah.
100 degrees, and then they did like when they had to go outside and shoot, they did in British Columbia.
Then it shows like
A helicopter going, and you see a
Over.
guy like what?
yeah, go ahead.
And then you see a guy loading like a rifle, or he's like reloading the rifle, and then it pans out to a dog running.
And the dog stops at one point,
Yeah,
looks
just looks-
back at the copter who's following it, and it starts running again.
Yeah, and then he starts shooting at the dog.
Yeah, the helicopter guy starts shooting. It goes to a sign that says United States National Science Institute Station 4. And they cut inside, and people are playing like ping pong
Yeah,
and stuff like that in what is seemingly a rec room.
yeah. And then Kurt Russell's character Mac is playing like chess on the computer.
Yeah. McReady is playing chess against the computer, and he's drinking. And I guess he makes like a move, and he thinks he has the fucking
Yeah, he's
computer
like,
beat.
Fucking got
Days
your
are you
ass,
slipping
bitch.
today, girl?
Yeah. And then the computer makes a move, and it's like, checkmate. So he pours his fucking drink inside the computer, like sparking it up, and he's like, cheating, bitch. The funniest part about this is the beginning of like their winter,
Yeah,
where they don't have much to do, and he just fucked up a computer that like could be a prime source of entertainment for not just him but anybody.
and
he
what's
just
funny
fucks
is
it
back
up.
then that was cost a lot of money, but I understand it's a movie.
Yeah,
That's like a waste of money. Like
yeah,
part of the budget to break.
We've
That really
already-
did break.
We've established that he's responsible.
yeah.
Very responsible.
The dog is running like up to the station, and the helicopter's shooting at it still. The people of the camp, I guess, see it, and then they come outside and they
Say it's the Norwegians.
they identify the chapter as the Norwegians. Or yeah, they do say Norwegians.
And
yes,
then
you're right.
then you
Norge.
see the helicopter guy credited as like Norwegian throw like a smoke bomb or a grenade.
I think it's supposed to be a grenade.
Yeah, and then the dog runs up to the group of American people.
Yes. The helicopter lands, and then one of the guys hops out and goes to throw a grenade, and it fucking slips right out of his dumbass hand.
But what's funny about that is he like jumps back to it instead of running away from it and like tries to dig it out.
Right, because I think he didn't want it to explode.
But it
Because the
did.
helicopter was right there.
Yeah.
And which, he fucking, as he jumps to, like, look for it in the snow, the other guy, like, runs away. He's like, yeah, fuck this. It blows up. It blows that guy up and the helicopter.
But as that blows up, the guy's like just shooting at the dog still.
Yes.
Like nonstop.
Yeah.
And then George gets shot. One of the crew members of the Americans gets shot in the leg, and then I believe the guy Gary comes out and shoots the Norwegian guy in the head.
Right
No,
now.
so Gary doesn't even come out. He,
Shoots through the window.
yeah, I think he shoots through the window, doesn't
Really? Wow.
he? Doesn't he?
Yeah, Gary's like watching from the window, like, oh, let me just stick my gun in a little window here and pop, shoots him right in the
he
eye.
shoots him. Yeah,
Gary with 2 R's.
yeah, right in the fucking head. Headshot. And that guy goes tumbling fucking down. It's like a second.
So that's the second kill of the movie, and we're only 3 minutes in.
Nah, it's a little bit more than that, but you're about right.
Yeah. So then it cuts to George getting stitched up by the doctor, and then I believe it's
Dr. Copper.
Dr. Copper, and then Blair says, or was it Blair that was there yet, or no? Or was it the doctor that said maybe they had cabin fever?
Yes, I think that was him. George. So Bennings and Copper are talking. Yes.
Yeah, it says he has cabin fever. And then they're all just talking among themselves, and one of them says they want to go save the Swedes. And he's like, no, I think it was the Norwegians. Right?
No. So right after that, it cuts to Blair, who goes up to Windows, and he tells him to reach out to somebody because of like because they don't know what the fuck's going on, like why those people were there shooting, and Windows makes a point to say, I haven't been able to reach anyone in weeks, like 2 weeks or something like that. And he's like, God damn it, just reach out to somebody. And then that's when they cut to Palmer, and he says he was wondering when El Capitan was gonna be able to use his pop gun, aka like Gary, when the fuck was Gary gonna
Yeah.
shoot somebody? Because so that establishes that Gary is the leader of this,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck it is going on this research station.
Yeah.
Expedition.
Yeah.
Then that's when they're talking about like cabin fever and whatnot, and they need to go save the fucking Swedes.
Yeah, they decide that they want to go over there and see what the fuck's going on. Right?
And then they talk about the storm, and it's gonna pass when they get higher. And I guess Mac Greedy
Yep. McReady.
is
McReady.
McReady is the pilot, is the only one that can pilot the helicopter.
Yes, he is specifically there because he's the pilot.
And then they show him walking out of the fucking place with a cowboy hat on back, like wrong.
Is
Fucking
it?
drove me nuts. Well, I don't know. I'm assuming so. It's not this way.
It's like sideways.
yeah, if not sideways, it's this way.
So
like-
sideways, yeah, right?
What?
Sideways then.
Yeah, I
Right?
guess. Yeah, it's fucking irritating.
McReady goes over to the helicopter that's blown up, and he says that it was filled with like kerosene and cans of kerosene,
Yeah.
which is like, I don't know, weird, I guess, for a helicopter to be flying around.
Yeah. And it also didn't look like a helicopter blew up either.
Yeah. No, it really didn't. Dr. Copper and Gary tell McReady to get ready because he's outside looking at that helicopter, and then it cuts to Knowles. That's how it's pronounced, right? Knowles and Palmer, and they're talking as like McReady's like taking off. I don't know if they have anything really productive or in depth they talk about.
Well, this is
but-
where he listens to. He's like on the roller skates listening to music, and then Brennan's like, "Yo, turn it down. I'm trying to sleep."
They say, "Turn it down. I got shot today. I'm trying
Yeah.
to sleep."
Yeah. And then it cuts back to the dog walking around.
But that music starts again. That droning music.
And what's funny about that is that he's listening to a Stevie Wonder song. I can't remember what it's called.
Superstitious.
Superstitious. So when they lost the rights to that, like after filming, I guess, and like I guess when it came out on VHS, it was a different song. And then when they later on they got the rights back to that to put the song back into the movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we need to find out VHS and
Yeah.
watch it.
So then also it cuts to Mac flying the helicopter. I'm just gonna call him Mac Mac Greedy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Before we do that, an important part. You said that the dog was wandering down the hall and stuff, but then he comes up to a door that's open, and you see a shadow of somebody sitting in a room, but you don't know who it is, and the dog walks into the room.
Yeah.
Yep.
That shadow wasn't the shadow of anybody, like any part of the cast. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, I had read that.
John Carpenter
yeah.
purposely had somebody who had nothing to do with the movie sit in for that part, so you wouldn't know who was, to leave it like
Yeah.
ominous and not ominous, but like
mystery.
a mystery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mystery,
who was
yeah.
in that room.
It's sometimes it's just genius little things like that that I really appreciate.
And what I love from the very beginning of this movie so far, all of the shots you can tell it's John Carpenter shooting. I love that about John Carpenter.
Yes.
That when he shoots a movie, you can tell it's him.
He's very good at, especially when it goes to the cinematography, very good at getting these beautiful wide shots, wide open shots. You see it in Halloween, the way he shoots down the street and stuff like that. But he's also good at these very intimate, close quarter shots that give an air of anxiety to what you're watching. And I think he's an artist. He really is.
Yeah, he definitely creates a lot of mystery with the way he shoots. Then this is the part where Mac and Copper go to the like camp, the Norwegian camp,
Yeah, they're like flying around and see everything's blown up.
and like burning,
And
still
they-
smoking.
Yeah, so they
Which-
still go to land.
I wouldn't even go near it because we're
Yeah.
straight edge. We don't deal with that
Yeah.
smoking bullshit.
So it's he's about to land. What's weird is about that's actually Kurt Russell landing the helicopter. The guy that was in there, that was the helicopter pilot, moved over and let him land it. So when you see it wobble, it's because that's when they switched.
Yes.
He jumps over into the seat
Yeah, I
to
did.
land.
I did know that. I thought
Yeah.
it was after they landed. No, he actually landed.
Yeah,
that?
he landed it like.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it
Yeah.
was after he landed.
Their stunt pilot guy was nuts. He even at one point.
I'm assuming we're gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. About the offering to crash his own helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was even like, I don't know if this stunt calls for it, but if you pay me this amount of money, I'll crash my helicopter.
Yeah, just for a scene. He said he'll do it and risk it.
He literally offered to crash his own helicopter.
I forgot what movie it was, but an actual helicopter got blown up.
That wouldn't be surprising.
Fuck, what movie was that?
I don't know. Don't know.
Horror movie?
I don't remember. I'll find out eventually.
Do our homework.
Yeah, I'll do the homework on that one. So when so they land, and they go into like the camp. They're looking through and they find weird stuff like an axe, a fire axe that's stuck in a door.
Yeah, like blood on the ground.
Yeah, they go in and there's like a frozen guy who's holding. I think he has a razor, right?
Yeah, razor knife. Yeah,
And his like wrists are cut and his throat is cut wide open.
yeah,
And
and his blood is frozen.
yeah, his blood's frozen. He's frozen with like a look of terror on his face.
Yeah, I mean it's horrifying.
Yeah, and so Copper says he's going to stay to collect some of the research data, the files and stuff, to see what they were doing out there, and see like what could have possibly caused this. And then Mac calls him.
Well, before this, the doctor's picking up the papers on the ground, and Mac's like, "Hurry up, we have to leave." And then he's like, "All right, hold on, let me go check these other rooms." So,
Well, yeah, they're there for a reason, man. They got to check shit out. But so Mac calls to Copper, and Copper like joins him in like a back room, and there's a big block of ice
yeah, like an ice tomb.
with like the middle melted out, like something that was in there isn't there anymore.
Yeah,
Uh,
they called it a fossil. He
Yeah.
says it looks like a fossil.
yes. So then as they go to leave, they're like outside, and they see that there's like gasoline cans and a corpse of almost like a deformed or mutated man or
Yeah.
something on the ground. They fly back, and the dog is like watching them as they're landing. And I don't know if more of the music plays there.
It does. So I thought it was, and then I decided to put my headphones on when I was watching it.
Yep.
And I put my headphones on, and I could hear like the doom, doom in the background, just so faint. And it's stuff like that, man, that I love in movies. When, you know, he put that sound in there, and I'm sure in your homes at the time, you weren't going to hear it that well because home speakers weren't quite there. But in the movie theater with the nice speakers, that's quality. People underestimate the effect of sound. I keep saying it all the time. They underestimate the effect of sound.
So then they get back to the camp, and they brought the deformed creature thing with them,
Yes.
and they tell Blair to start an autopsy on it
ASAP.
ASAP. Rocky.
So he starts it, and that's where, like, as they're panning, as he's doing the autopsy, it pans up to the face, and that's that classic shot of the two faces that are, like, melting together. Or separating, but melted, like, together. I almost got a tattoo of that.
So good.
And then when he asked him about the autopsy of the Norwegian guy, and he said there was nothing wrong with him. He seemed fine.
Yeah.
And then he said, Blair starts talking about whatever he's cutting open, that it's got all organs and it seems normal. Like it's got oil, or like a heart, liver,
Intestines.
and all the organs that humans do.
And he remarks that there's nothing wrong with them. He's
Yeah.
like, he's pulling these
Yeah.
organs out. He's like, these are perfectly fine organs. Like, what the
But
hell
it's
is going
the
on?
rest of the being is, like, deformed.
And then
Yeah, horrifically so.
And then after that, I guess they start watching the VHS tapes or whatever tapes they took from the other campsite to see what they were doing.
Knowles and Palmer? No, I think that's just what they have. Like, they have recorded shows that they can just pop in whenever just to keep themselves
Yeah.
entertained.
Oh no! Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because-
I went too far ahead.
Yeah, because
But
Palmer...
yeah, they're watching like game shows, like and stuff like that.
Yeah, because Palmer's like, oh, no, I've already seen it, or I already know the outcome of this one.
Yeah.
So he changes the tapes out.
Then they tell Clark to take the dog into where all the other dogs are.
Yeah, so they're in the rec room, all hanging out, playing cards, ping pong, and Bennings, who was the one who was shot, was sitting at the table, and the dog like rubs past his legs and it scares him, and that's when he's like, Clark, take the dog. Like, what is the dog still doing out here? Take it to the kennel with the other dogs. So as, he takes it to the kennel with the other dogs, he kind of is like slow, lumbering. Seems really off.
Methodical.
Yeah, odd. Like,
It's not moving the way a dog would.
no, I mean him too. He's moving
He's-
extra slow.
Yeah, very like the way he almost he's on drugs. To be honest, like he's just walking around like he's in a fog.
Yeah.
What they said about this dog, whoever trained it, the dog like knew not to look right directly in the camera and like directly at people.
Yeah, this dog was a good.
So they said it
animal
was
actor.
trained like perfect.
Yeah.
It like knew what to do when it was told what to do, like in one take.
Which was weird because it was half wolf and half Malamute.
Yeah.
And wolves are wild. Fucking
Yeah.
wild animals. And
Yeah,
Fun
they
fact.
said they never had to do extra takes with the dog too.
yes.
The dog in the beginning is not the same dog that they use in those scenes.
Right. The one in the beginning that was running was just painted to look like the other dog.
Yeah, this dog that they used for all the close-up shots and inside was incredible. So he walks into the cage. The dog goes into the cage, and Clark's even looking at him like a little weird. Like the other dogs are kind of all sleeping around the kennel, looking up at this newcomer. And like normally when dogs enter in with each other, they kind of interact a little bit, want to sniff each other and figure each other out. None of the dogs are moving. And this dog just slowly and methodically meanders into the kennel and lays down flat on its stomach and is just still. And so you start to hear the whimpering.
Well, you hear like the dog breathing very heavy. After Clark's like walks away, you hear the dog start to like breathe kind of heavy.
But it's these weird, like, all of a sudden the sound begins to change to like this, like the exhales of the breath almost have like this growl to it. It's weird. It's a good sound change though, and you know something's about to happen.
Yeah. All the dogs start like standing up and barking at the dog that was just brought in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is exactly where like the dog that was brought in from the Norwegian camp, the Norwegian dog, starts to mutate. His face starts to change and
Yeah,
it
his, like,
splits
head-
open.
Yeah.
Almost like Predator style.
Uh-huh.
Except in like 4 or 5 different pieces.
Like, honestly, like almost like in Stranger Things, the way the Demogorgon's face like opens up, like it just flowers open.
Yeah, that's
and this tentacle just comes out.
That's a good way to describe it. It flowers open. It like starts to sprout tentacles and it grows like these spider-like legs. And it starts shooting like liquid at the other dogs. And the dog, you can tell the dogs that were being filmed and sprayed with shit really were like, yeah, this isn't cool. Like, I don't enjoy this.
This isn't worth the money.
Yeah, this isn't whatever. This isn't worth any of the snacks or any of the
Yeah.
pets. So Clark comes back because he hears a bunch of the noise and he opens up the pen and 2 of the dogs like run out and
They like jumped out on him. Right?
yeah, they
like,
jump, they knock him over, and then they run away. And he sees like the tentacles. And he like starts to kick the door shut. It doesn't work the first time, so he kicks it again and shuts for good. McReady hears all the commotion, and he pulls the fire alarm. Before he even knows what's going on, he pulls the fire alarm, and then he runs over with a gun, I believe a shotgun, over to the kennel where Clark is. And he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" And Clark's like, "Dude, look inside. I don't."
Yeah, and then he's like, "Get the flamethrower."
Yeah, McReady demands the flamethrower, and I think Childs goes to like grab it or something, or maybe
I think Niles runs up and
Yeah.
like runs into like Child's room. He's like, Max says bring the flamethrower. He's like, what? He goes, I don't know. He says bring the flamethrower.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
He shines the light on the mutated dog, and there's like tentacles that like reach out and grabs the other dogs that are still nearby, that are like wrapped in, or they're
looks like
either
the one's
wrapped up,
melting almost.
yeah, or they're like wrapped in like a membrane or something. Is
It's doing something
yeah,
messed up.
it's fucking them up somehow, fucking them up. And then I think at this point, yeah,
Max is shooting it with the shotgun.
him and Gary's there too, and he's shooting with his handgun.
Yeah, and then Clark
Clark.
stops him.
Yeah, he like stops him. He's like, "Oh, stop shooting!"
Well, because what happens is one of the dogs that's like has a tentacle around its neck. It's who might be still alive in the process of being killed.
Right.
One of them puts a bullet right in its chest and just blows it away. And so Clark's like, now you're shooting my dogs.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, do you not see that your dogs are being mutilated right now?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do anything.
Yeah, they're shooting dogs. They don't even care what dogs they're shooting. They're just out there fucking firing on everything they see. The Norwegian dog that mutated grows like these like tentacles and starts pulling itself up to the ceiling.
Yeah,
And
they're
it's
like arms that come up and grab the ceiling.
yeah, it's like suspended by the ceiling, or by tentacles from the ceiling. And that's when Childs comes with a fucking flamethrower and just torches that bitch down. Like, they don't give a fuck whether they're inside or what. He just fucking starts burning that fucking place
Do
down.
what you got to do, man.
Yeah. It cuts almost like to the morning. Like, they just like burned it and then said, all right, we'll worry about this later or something. But it cuts to the morning and Blair's performing like an autopsy on the mutated
Yeah,
doggy.
he's like dissecting it.
Yes. He figures out that whatever the fuck it is eating and absorbing.
Yeah.
Well, it eats and absorbs things such as the dogs, and then it tries to imitate them on like a cellular level.
Yeah.
He says the cells, which I don't know. I don't see him looking under a microscope, but somehow he knows that the cells are like mutating.
He's a sci-fi doctor. They know everything.
That
And they
is
correct.
correct.
He says they got there before he can finish mutating this and like copying the cells.
Right. And then Blair's taking like blood from the dogs and asks Clark if he saw anything strange. And at this point, Clark looks like drawn out. He
Yeah.
looks tired. What's another word that I'm looking for? He looks
He
almost
looks
like
strung out. Like
yeah,
100%.
strung out almost.
Yeah, he looks like he hasn't slept in a few days and that he's tweaking.
Yeah.
He's losing it.
Yeah, and then he asks him like how long was he with the dog by himself for? And he tells him about an hour.
And you can tell that he's asking that in a suspicious or suspecting manner.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Clark's like, I don't know, like an hour and a half. And then he's kind of like, what? Like, why are you asking? And Blair's like, oh, no reason. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Then this is when it cuts them watching the tapes they got from the campsite.
Yes, they're watching all that Norwegian footage, and they see something like buried near the Norwegian camp, and it's visibly bigger than the block of ice on video than what they saw inside
Yes.
the Norwegian camp.
Yeah, for sure.
So they decide, like,
Max says he wants to go back.
yeah, they're going to go back. Mac flies to the site where the hole's in the ground now. It's like a hole in the ground. And you could see from far away, which I don't know if they don't really specify if they can tell from looking at it. But from our point of view, it's a little bit farther away. And you can see it's a giant fucking spacecraft. Fucking, like, 50s looking
Yeah.
saucer, I guess.
And then he asks the one, I guess it's the doctor still. And he says, I don't know, that ice is at least 100,000 years old.
So that was actually Norris.
That said that?
Yeah, because he goes there with Norris and I don't remember who else.
And then after that, that's where they find the exact spot
Yeah, they walk over to
where it was cut out, the piece of ice.
the block of ice, which this part bugged me just a little bit because why is there still that big of a hole? I don't know how long ago this was cut out, but dude, there's fucking snow blown everywhere. I think it would have filled in this hole already.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I looked at it too. I was like, well, that's convenient.
Yeah. Like, that's what I thought. I'm like, what? I can understand the spaceship because that's like fucking huge, like dugout.
No, but that whole, there's like not even dust in it.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
Yeah. Like they just cut it out themselves. It's like, wow.
I wonder
Look
who
at
their long guy is taking care of the property like that.
So they go back to like the camp, and McReady kind of tells everyone like what happened, what they found.
Yeah, he tells Childs like he doesn't believe all that voodoo or something like that.
Right.
Or vice versa. Childs tells
yes,
him that.
Yes. And then there's like you see a computer program, and it's kind of showing Blair that these cells are alien and how they are assimilating. And on the screen it reads, probability that one or more team members may be affected by intruder organism, 75%. And I think he typed something in, but I don't know what.
And then he types in and it says 27,000 hours before all human life is taking over after first human contact or something like that.
Projection. If intruder organism reaches civilization areas, entire world population infected 27,000 hours from first contact.
Yeah.
Which means like they've already contacted it, so it's only a matter of time before all of the world's assimilated by this creature.
Yes.
And that's when you see Blair grab a fucking gun. That's my fucking guy.
He's gonna save the day.
Yeah.
And then they call Mac on the intercom and are like, yo, get your stuff out of storage, we're moving it in there.
Right. Which I think that's Blair that calls him.
I don't remember, honestly.
Because who else? I'm pretty sure it's Blair, because they're like, he thinks that like we have to keep it segregated.
Yeah, because that's Windows in there, and who's the other guy in there?
Well, before they do that, I think when Mac is like getting ready to go, Fuchs, how do we pronounce? Fuchs, that's right. Fuchs. I always fucking forget that. Fuchs asks like Mac if he could like talk to him outside, and it's important. Yeah, so he leaves Bennings and Windows inside alone.
And then when Windows walks out, the thing starts leaking.
The organism starts like melt because they moved the organism into that room.
Yeah.
It starts like melt, bleed, fucking thaw, whatever the fuck it's doing. And
then it goes to Mac and Fuchs. After it's leaking, it goes to the next scene is Mac and Fuchs talking in the fucking like outside thing, whatever you call the thing, the tractor. What are they in, the helicopter sitting in?
It's not the helicopter.
No, it's the giant like snow tracker. It's
Yeah.
a big one.
Fuchs tells Mac that he thinks that Blair's going crazy, and he's like paranoid. And I think he reads him his diary.
Yeah, he says I found his journal.
But Blair wrote a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. Like, and how the fuck did Fuchs already like grab it without Blair seeing it? I don't get that part.
Nah.
Yeah, and then Windows goes back and sees George getting like sucked up by the fucking thing. After they like the Mac and Fuchs' little talk.
Am I supposed to be taking?
No,
over?
I'm saying, do you know like that or like?
Yeah.
You okay?
Windows comes back, and
And George getting sucked, the life sucked out of him.
Bennings is
yeah,
done
he like
for.
walks in the room, and Bennings isn't there. There's blood and clothes like strewn about, but he doesn't see anything. And then he turns around. Bennings is like wrapped up in fucking tentacles.
Yeah, and then
And he like runs to fucking get McCready and Fuchs.
they come back and he's gone because he broke through the little window
Right.
that no way he could fit through.
He could have.
Maybe, I don't know. He had those tentacle arms. I don't know if he would have had enough time.
I feel like that was a regular size window.
I don't know.
wasn't it?
Maybe.
Maybe, but they go back after him, and they see him running away. Bennings, they see him running away in the snow, and like Windows goes to run up to him and get him, and I think it's Mac that tackles him. He's
They
like,
don't even tackle him. He just, as he's running, Bennings like falls to his knees just in the snow.
well, I mean, like I think somebody grabs like Windows is about to go like grab Bennings, and I think Mac like tackles Windows like, no, don't touch him.
Yeah.
So, but this scene is really just one of those great scenes because they slowly pan around to the front of Bennings, and you look down and you see his hands are like deformed, weird,
Almost like a claw.
Yeah,
claw.
like fucking lobster claw, lobster fest.
and he just looks up slowly at the sky, opening his mouth, and lets out this horrible shriek.
Almost like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Just maybe like not as loud.
Yeah.
Right, but it is like when you juxtapose that against the silence of the snow and the ice and the world around them and just the sound of the wind.
Yeah.
Sound design, guys. It's beautiful. It's definitely a very eerie and creepy thing, but it's at this point that they decide to burn Bennings.
Yeah.
They burn him up real good.
I don't even think there's a choice made. I think
They just start doing it, burn them.
Mac just fucking knocks over that drum of fuel and just lights that bitch on fire with a fucking flare. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't even give a fuck.
Yep.
And then Gary gets all upset and saying that was his friend and didn't want to burn him.
And McReady says that, like, well, we're going to burn all of it. We're going to burn the rest of those motherfuckers.
Then they start burning the rest of the remains.
Yeah, they use fuel and a flamethrower, which is a little excessive. And they burn all the fucking organism samples that they have from the whole place in a pile. Which, if we learned anything from Making a Murderer, having an open pit and burning a body isn't the best way to get rid of it. Season 2, at least. They say that you can't keep the heat in enough in that small of or wide of an area, open of an area, to burn a body.
Yeah.
Pro tips from the pros.
Yeah, well, you know.
So then they want to go talk to Blair,
Yeah, they're wondering where the fuck Blair is.
the Blair Witch Project they're looking for. And then they see him run out to the helicopter, right? And like rip something off the helicopter.
No, McReady sees him jumping from the helicopter.
Yeah, jumping out of the helicopter.
And
yeah.
he like runs inside. So McGreedy like runs over to the helicopter and looks underneath the cloth that it's draped over, like in, and he looks inside, and you can see the computer's like torn all apart inside the helicopter. Then he starts to hear shooting, so he runs inside, and Blair's just fucking freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, it goes wild.
He's in the comm center with an axe, just taking out.
No, but he has the gun
everything.
first. He has the gun.
Yeah, he's got the gun. He's in there with the gun, but he's
No, he's right. Like he was shooting, but he's smacking like all the computers
Yeah.
with the
and
axe.
he's just saying the craziest shit.
And
Just
he's
like, I know who some of you are, and you know who you are, but the rest of you don't know. But I know. Like,
no one gets in or out.
he's
And
lost
he's
it.
smashing all the computers with an axe. And then when McGreedy's like, "Oh, Childs, go around and like try to talk to him. I have an idea." When Childs like comes into like a doorway and it's like, "Hey, like,
What's up, guy?
fucking Blair," like no hesitation, just shoots in his fucking direction and tries to kill that mother sucker. But then as he's distracted, Mac runs at him with a table as a shield, and I think he hits it with an axe. He hits it with the
Yeah,
axe.
the axe gets stuck in the table.
And then there's like a little scuffle, and then when Childs and Mac like run up on Blair, they beat his fucking ass. Like they beat like he owes him child support.
Yeah,
Do I use that too much?
but what's interesting, and I think it's further setting up your suspicions, is when when Childs runs up to the scene, he says, "Man, he destroyed this and that. He even killed the dogs." And Clark just looks up and takes off and runs for the dog pen, distancing himself. And when he gets there, he looks into the kennel and you see one of the dogs with an axe embedded right in the side of its head. And I think that's also supposed to set up like that, Clark's already suspicious, right? Now he's leaving away from the group. Now he's got even more motivation to do damage.
You can tell from the beginning that Clark is almost like an outsider.
Yeah.
And that dogs are his thing. Because when the dog first runs up and everybody's worrying about the fucking Norwegian guy that's shooting,
He's petting the dog.
everyone's at the front of the camp watching the helicopter scene. Clark's the only one that stayed behind, besides Gary, who was inside. But even after Gary like heads out to like check on the guy that he just shot, Clark's at the door with the dog, and everybody else is far away.
Yeah,
So
now
you
his
can tell
dog's
that
dead.
he separates himself always anyway.
Yeah.
So then they get Blair, and they put him in like a shed or something, or
Man, that guy got his ass whooped.
Yeah, they lock him in the tool shed.
yeah. And then Blair tells Mac like, make sure you watch Clark close. I don't know if he says something else after that though.
No, he
Yeah.
just pretty much says like,
He's
watch
watch
Clark,
Clark,
and
yeah.
then McCready's like, what the fuck what did you say? And he's like, watch Clark. Just keep an eye on Clark. And so I don't know if at this point Blair, I guess not. I don't know. So it cuts to Childs and he like asks, how do they know who's human?
Yeah, they said, what if we're not human? Who's human? Who's not human?
So they're all standing around. They can't they need to find a way to decide who's human and who's not. And Copper says that they can always mix blood with uncontaminated blood, and if something happens, that's how you can kind of tell who's human and who's not.
It's not a bad plan.
So then Copper's like, fuck it, let's go over to get the blood packets. So when they go to get the blood, they find that somebody had opened up the refrigerator or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
they cut all the bags of blood. And the only people with access is Copper and Gary. Gary has the key, and he's the only one with the key, and he lets Copper in to do whatever with the blood whenever he asks for the key. And then they kind of ask like, well, where's the key? Gary's like, well, I have the key. Okay. So
But anyone could have went in my room and took it.
right, and they're like,
basically.
"That's fuck." And Child's like, "That's fucking bullshit." I think it was Child's, and then they kind of point at Copper, and Copper's like, "Every time I use the key, I give it directly back." So they're all arguing amongst each other, and that's like when they're like fighting, and kind of like, I feel like at this point, like Brandy from fucking Scream, like everybody's a suspect.
Everybody's a suspect!
Yeah. And then Wendales runs and gets breaks the glass open, grabs the shotgun, and is like ready to shoot Gary's ass.
But then Gary holds a gun to him, like he holds him at gunpoint, and tells Windows to put the fucking gun down. So Windows puts the gun down, and then Gary puts the gun down. to kind of prove like I don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, and-
like he goes, I don't know who fucked with the blood, but I promise you it was not me. And it's his way of kind of showing like it wasn't me. And he puts the gun down.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they talk about how they need a new leader. And I think who says they would step up and do it? Is it Childs?
And they're like, we need somebody more level-headed.
Yeah, and then Max like basically takes over. He's the man of the house now.
He's the man of the house. Yep.
He just grabs the gun and he's like, nah, we need somebody more level-headed. And that's kind of like him signaling, I'm the fucking man.
And then
I'm the alpha.
And then
I'm the boy of the
I
house.
believe Mac goes outside and starts burning the blood bags. I guess, right? Is that what he does after that whole scene?
No, I don't think he does that. Why would he?
There's
burn?
they definitely burned like the bags or something. They show like a quick.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I guess he's burning also the samples from the creatures too. Like he's burning
Oh yeah,
up.
so yeah.
But this is where I want to point out something about this movie that I really enjoy. Generally, with a lot of horror movies, the lead people or the people in charge tend to make dumb mistakes or don't make logical decisions. They're not planning very well. Like, that's my experience with a lot of things. I got to say for this, Mac's logic is well written and really, really good. He stands there in front of everybody and he says, if you all were aliens right now and I was burning your compatriot, you'd all wouldn't let me do it. You'd attack me. So that tells me at least some of you are human right now. So we're going to have to, he's like, we're going to figure this out. And those of you who are human, relax. You're good. But those of you who are aliens, we're going to get you. And it's just like this good, I don't know, like it's a good setup to the, which I think we're now moving into the second act of the film. And I think it's a good shift into his role as leader, trying to calm everybody's paranoia. And I think this film does a really good job of seeing how people would actually react in these situations and the kind of paranoia it can instill.
Right. That's one thing they do really well. They keep you guessing through a lot of this movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So now that he's burned the remaining samples, he says that there is a storm on its way.
And they're gonna find out who is who.
And they need to figure this out soon.
Yep. So he tells Norris and Childs to drug and tie up Clark, Copper, and Gary, while Fuchs has to find another test because they don't have the blood bags.
Yes.
And they can't trust Gary, they can't trust Copper, and they can't trust Clark because he was with the dogs. It cuts to like Mac in his room, I guess, or his cabin. I'm assuming that's where he is, but he's like recording a tape, and he's kind of says in case no one makes it, he's recording just a log, and he pretty much says that it's been 48 hours since all this started. The thing shreds clothes. There's no one trusts anyone at all. They're all tired because they haven't really slept much. And then he kind of stops, rewinds the tape, listens a little bit, and he rewinds it again, and he just records over that and says like, "There's nothing I can do."
Yeah, you could tell hope is fading.
Yes, very quickly.
All hope is gone.
Like he kind of has it in his head too. We're not making it out of this, and I think that's where his resolve kind of differs from everyone else's.
Yeah.
Besides Blair, Blair's kind of like, we have to shut this shit down. McGreedy's just like, whether we do or not, none of us are making it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think he does a good job portraying that the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and he doesn't. And as you see with his crew, he doesn't make it known to them though that he's like, none of us are making it out alive. He still tries to give them hope. To I think he's not convinced himself, but he doesn't want them to fucking go into panic mode.
I think that he sees things from two perspectives. He sees it from his own, which is he's gone through the stages of, accepting his death. He gets it. He realizes it. They ain't making it out. But also, he's still a soldier. He's mission oriented. I need to stop this thing. The mission is to stop this thing and figure it out.
I don't even know if it's that he was ever a soldier. Was he?
In
They said he was. He
right,
was in one of the wars.
In an initial draft, they were going to do some background stuff on him.
Right, they never
where he
actually
was a
put it in.
failed helicopter pilot out of Vietnam, and he failed to complete his mission, so he's washed up here.
Right, and they never actually go through that.
Right, so that
correct.
initial plan, it does fit his character design that, hey, I got one last mission. I need to keep these guys going and figure this out and end this mess.
And that's also why he's kind of the alpha and takes charge, because he's had that training. You're
Exactly.
right. I forgot that they never went into that.
It's a shame though, but I mean, it doesn't really take a huge amount away from the film, but it would have
No.
added a little context to give his character more strength.
Right. But also at the same time, that kind of would have made it, maybe it would have made it too obvious that he's the one that's going to take charge.
Yeah, because early on in this film, you kind of set up that anyone could take charge, and there are times, honestly, when people interchange their roles. They take charge and they shift in and
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
But now it's going to start to hit the fan. We get a situation where the Fuchs is working on the plan to get everybody to figure out this test, right?
Right.
So Mac, I guess it's Mac, right, that goes in to see him.
Yep.
And Fuchs reaches for a vial, which, oh god, I'm gonna punch my mic. Fuchs reaches for a vial, and I read somewhere that it was that Carpenter intended that to be acid, because Fuchs is so paranoid right now that he feels like he just needs to attack anybody who's coming near him. So
I didn't even realize that.
yeah, so they have a brief discussion about where they're at, and
basically that everyone should prepare their own food and
Eat out of cans.
eat out of cans.
yeah, like don't share anything because this thing can affect us on a microscopic level.
Yeah.
So that's terrifying to think about. Mac leaves, and then the power goes out.
Right. And as Fuchs is walking towards like the doorway, I'm assuming that's what it is, he sees a dark figure run past the doorway.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think he follows it outside to see who it was, because they went outside, whoever it was.
Yes.
Outside,
He finds McGreedy's, I guess it's like a jacket or a shirt with McGreedy's
last name on it. Yeah.
Yes, name on it,
Yeah.
because McGreedy is his last name. Do they ever just tell you what his first name is?
It's some with an R, I think. I can't remember.
I don't-
It's R.J. McGreedy, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know if they ever go into what it actually is. Anyway, it's not
we
really
don't know.
that
We don't know
important.
Windows' name. We just know he's Windows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. We got a Windows and we got a Mac in this.
But they didn't do that on purpose, because back then the
Yeah, it wasn't around yet.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have been around, but they weren't big companies yet, like they were.
It's kind of funny though.
Yeah. Mac's like, oh, the power's been out. I guess it's like sometime later, and Mac says the power was out in the lab for at least like an hour. Anybody could have gotten to Fuchs, so I guess Fuchs is still missing at this point. He tells Knowles to go with him outside, and for Palmer or Windows to go check the inside somewhere. And of course, Palmer's like doesn't trust anybody. He says he doesn't want to go with Windows. An argument ensues, and Max says, "You know what? Then Windows, you're gonna go with me and Knowles outside. Norse, stay here, and if anyone moves, just fucking kill him and hit the sirens." And he says, "No matter what, we'll meet up here in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think
Something
it's
like that,
20
yeah.
minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, and then he also just throws out there like, watch whoever you're with, real close. So he leaves that like little pause, like he pretty much puts it in them. Keep a fucking eye out. Like any of us could be infected.
Yeah. Be prepared to kill your friend.
Yeah. Matt goes to check out Blair, and he said the funniest,
fun.
Yeah, I don't know if like they never like go into it, but there's a fucking noose hanging
Yeah.
right next to Blair, like he was gonna fucking kill himself.
He's like, hey guys, I'm really tired of being out here.
Oh my god, this is so funny.
I
Yeah.
die. I
He's
die
like,
when
can
I
I
watch
come
this.
back inside?
I wish they didn't have this in there, honestly.
And they kind of like fucking blow him off. He's like, no, really, like I'm better now.
I thought about it. I'm better.
Can I come back inside? But like, there's a fucking noose hanging next to him, and they never address that. They're never like, dude, what the fuck? You're not better, bro. Take that fucking thing down.
Yeah, you're about to kill yourself.
Yeah.
I'm better now.
And then Windows like walks over because he sees something on the ground, and it's Fuchs's body burned. And I think McGreedy tells like Windows like to go tell everyone that they found Fuchs.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
Fuchs says to Knowles like, we're going to my cabin. And
Fuchs says that to him.
I mean, Max says that to Knowles, like, we're going to my cabin. And then I think that Knowles is like, why? And he's like, because when I left, I turned out the lights. And the lights are on in his cabin.
Yeah, it's creepy.
So kind of like,
And then-
someone's been moving around and we don't know who the fuck it is.
And then it cuts back to inside, and everyone's like, "It's been this long. We need to start boarding up since they're still out there."
Yeah, they've been outside for 40 to 45
Well, no,
minutes.
wait. Is this when Norris runs back inside and says, "I found his shirt ripped up" or something like that?
Yes, so they're
No,
boarding up the
Norris,
place.
Norris, okay, so Norris is just inside. He's the one that's kind of holding down the fort. and he says that they've been outside for 40 to 45 minutes.
Oh, Knowles comes back in and shows the shirt.
But first he says, like, we need to close off the outside.
Yes.
So they start closing up the doors and windows. They're about to, like, start nailing shit shut. And that's when Norris looks out the window and sees Knowles. Yes.
Yeah, and then Knowles.
They let him in, and he says, like, he cut Mac loose because I guess they had, like, a wire or a rope or something from, like, leading from the camp.
Yeah, they have a guide wire because in that kind of storm and whiteout conditions,
You can't see shit.
you can't see shit.
So it's the way to find. So he says he cut Mac loose, which is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it is.
And that he found like a rip jacket inside the cabin. I guess it was in like the fireplace
The
or
furnace,
the
yeah.
furnace. And that he thinks Mac is one of the alien kind of creatures. So they're all like kind of like fighting about like whether Mac would be one or and all that kind of stuff, and then the doorknob starts to like turn, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like he found us. Like nobody can find their way in that weather. He has to be one of them.
And
Yeah.
then the doorknob starts. Yeah,
And then they go to check, and they've realized that he fucking locked them in. Cause like I guess Mac's like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
So Childs takes the fucking axe. I don't know how many axes there are in this
There's a
fucking
lot.
place.
Unlimited amount.
Yeah.
Unlimited amount.
Everywhere there's just fucking
it's like
fire
GTA.
axes.
They're just picking up axes everywhere.
Yeah. And fucking he chops the door down, and then as soon as the door opens up, McGreedy has a fucking dynamite and a flare.
And he's
And
like, I'm ready to blow this motherfucker up.
he is like, yeah, I'll fucking light this bitch up like the 4th of July. I think that's an exact quote, honestly. And
I'm the alpha.
he orders them to fucking drop all their weapons and back the fuck off. He's like, no, really, back off.
He wouldn't kill all of us.
And then,
Yeah, he would.
yeah, Norris and Knowles try to like jump him, and he shakes them off like no fucking problem. He's like, yeah, like I don't know if you guys know, but you guys are little bitches. And
And this
I
is
was
where
not.
is this where Norris has like a heart attack or something?
Yeah, so Norris stops breathing, and Mac orders everyone to like get together in the same room, and so then they like try to help out Norris. They have him like on an operating table kind of thing, or autopsy table, whatever, like some kind of medical table.
Yeah, and so Doc comes in and
Copper.
Doc Copper, yeah.
Copper.
He's coming in and he's trying to give him the CPR, give him the mouth to mouth, not to be mistaken with making sex. Very different. So they were giving him the CPR, and he's like, I need the defibrillators. And they're all still arguing back and forth about like what's going on, like what to do. And Mac's still in the corner over there with a flamethrower, bugging out.
And you see Clark grab a scalpel when nobody's looking. He grabs off an operating table. That's kind of important.
Yep.
As Copper goes to use the defibrillator for a second time on Norris, the fucking torso just opens up into a giant mouth with teeth and fucking bites off Copper's arms.
You know how they did that?
Yes, they use a guy with missing limbs.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Yeah. That's like Dawn of the Dead, the remake. They had fucking people with like missing shit do that kind of stuff. It's cool that they like went above and beyond to do that instead of like half-assing a makeup though.
Yeah.
Because it came out so much better.
That is one of the most horrifying gore effects I've ever seen in a film.
And
ever.
I think that's one of the things that really was off-putting to people at the time.
I mean, you see like bones, muscle tissue, artery, and everything when you cut. A lot of times when you cut arms off, they make it like seem this clean, like
No, this was
cut. It's like a jagged, ripped arms off, arteries spraying. It's bloody, it's brutal, it's realistic, and it's amazing.
Yeah, even though it's quick,
It's brutal.
it's very effective in what they did.
Yes.
Tentacles start like fucking whipping around, and tentacles start pulling like the head up towards the like ceiling kind of. And Mac begins to like fucking burn the body. He just like shoots that bitch with a fucking flamethrower. Dude, he's like flamethrower happy in this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, burn, we don't give a fuck, burn this motherfucker down. And Norris's head though is like kind of like leaning off the table, and it starts to like fall off, almost like melt.
Yeah.
Like the neck starts to melt away, and it fucking the head falls
Oh
off.
my god, it looks so good.
It really does.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yeah, and it pulls itself away with like a tentacle, and then sprouts little spider legs and antennas. It kind of starts to like crawl away when nobody's looking, but like, yeah, it's fucking like so funny how nobody sees the shit until Palmer and Windows kind of like turn around, they're like, what the fuck? And then Mac just burns that bitch.
Yeah.
Says, yep, nope, not today, motherfucker.
I love how he's like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
And they look over and it's just standing at the door like, oh, hi guys.
Yeah.
So, it
doesn't try to, like,
doesn't
run.
even run away. It's
Yeah.
like, well, isn't this awkward?
It's like, well,
You got me.
you got me. I got to admit it.
And then this is when Clark tries to jump Mac after that. And then Mac just shoots him right in the fucking head.
One shot.
Well, yeah, Mac orders Palmer Windows to tie everyone down, and that's kind of when Childs like objects, and Mac makes a point to say, I'll kill anyone,"
Yeah.
and he fucking pulls back the hammer of the gun, and that's when Clark's like, "Now's my time to strike. Now that the gun's loaded."
Perfect
Well,
time.
because what happens is that like Childs challenges Mac,
Yeah,
and Mac's like, I will kill anyone, and Child's like, do it, sucker. Like, come on. And literally, Mac just walks right up to him, points the gun at his chest, and he's like, oh, you're gonna kill me.
No, you're real. You're serious, right?
He's like, you're gonna kill me.
He's
This
like, you're
this
serious,
guy's
okay.
and now that everyone knows he's serious, that's when Clark says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna take my chance,"
Best time now.
and he comes at Mac, and McCready just fucking shoots him in the head, I think.
perfect shot.
Yeah.
Whips right around, just pops him right in the head.
Yep, like no fucks given.
And it's so crazy. Like, I feel like sometimes they ham it up in horror movies or just movies in general when somebody does like kills another person like that, where they like have this one where like, he came at me, man. Nah, Mac's like,
Calm, cool, and collected.
was I not clear? Was that clear? We're clear, right?
Yeah.
And so then McCready has a plan. He's like, well, fuck it. I know how we're going to test everyone's blood. We're going to fucking burn it. And because if you burn the blood, then the blood acts as its own organism. Oh, every piece is its own organism.
Yeah,
and
every
it'll try
cell.
to, it'll
Yeah,
try
every
to
cell.
defend itself. So if we burn the blood and it tries to protect itself, that means you're an alien. If not, well, then you're human.
Not bad.
So they test Windows' blood. Nothing. He's human. They test McCready's own blood. Nothing. He's human. Then they go to Copper, and in between everybody, as he's about to like test him, you see the person kind of like sweating, looking nervous, and then as soon as they test, they kind of like a sigh of relief. And then they go to Clark, human, and that's when Childs is like, "Huh? So that makes you a murderer, doesn't it?" And McCready's like, "Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I literally don't.
I
give a
literally
fuck."
told you 2 minutes ago I was going to shoot your fucking ass. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I was clear, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this scene is that all the other people who are still alive, who are being tested, are tied up together,
Yes.
linked together, sitting in a row on, I believe it's a couch or a bench,
Except for Windows.
except for Windows, because Windows is good. Windows has
and-
already been tested.
Yeah, and well, no, he originally helps take people's blood, and then he cuts himself,
And yeah,
they
and
test
proves it, yeah.
yeah, and then that's when McCready is like, "Fuck it, let's just get this shit over with," and test himself just to prove to everyone like, "I'm fine." And then they go to test Palmer's blood, and it reacts. It like sprouts out of the fucking petri dish.
Crazy good effect.
Yes.
Can't even begin to imagine how they made some of these effects work.
And I'm glad
They blow my mind.
I'm glad I don't know how, because I feel like that would
Take the magic away.
yes,
Yeah.
because these effects hold up today.
Yeah, they do.
But it sprouts out, and he starts like Palmer starts to like fucking shake and morph and mutate, and tentacles like pull fucking windows into him, and his head opens up into like a mouth
Yeah.
with teeth.
But like before he even does that, like as he's starting to change, you feel the terror of the other three guys that are, or the other two guys that are attached to him.
Literally tied
they
to him.
can't, they can't leave him.
Yeah.
and so they're like going, shit. It is good.
And
like
instead of grabbing somebody who's like tied up, it grabs Windows, one of the free people,
poor Windows, but
and pulls him in.
yeah, like Venus flytraps his head.
Yeah. And McGreedy fucking can't like get his flamethrower to work. The one time like he needs that fucking
Yeah.
flamethrower right now when the thing's not like I can't think of the word right
Like
now.
the one time, like it's not just like sitting there still, like it's
Yeah.
active at killing people. Like I need to kill this thing now.
Yeah. He can't get it to fucking work. So then he finally gets it to work, and he fucking burns Palmer, and Palmer like runs outside through a wall. And at this point, you can tell it's just some guy in a suit
In a flame suit.
and looks like he has like a werewolf mask
Yeah.
on. And then he like kind of like falls down like on his knees, and McCready runs outside and just throws like dynamite on him, and it fucking explodes.
Well, before this, when they're in there and he's like getting windows, that scene was shot upside down, and while they're
You mean like in reverse?
yeah, they shot it upside down, so like it's supposed to be the ceiling when he's getting windows, like he's supposed to be on the ceiling, but he's on the floor, and while he's on the floor, the ceiling tile falls the other way. If you look at it, so that's what that's.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they're supposed to be on the ceiling.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and the ceiling tile falls the wrong way, so that's how you can tell.
I have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, I have to go back and rewatch
And then
that.
another thing too is
That was very chaotic.
when the thing runs out and he throws the dynamite, that's really Kurt Russell throwing dynamite, and that's really his reaction because he didn't know how close he was to blowing up, because he didn't know that's how loud it was and everything, and he was so close to it. That's like his real legit reaction, like holy shit.
I can't believe they would let him do that.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't
Let him
believe
run
that.
on set with live dynamite.
Yeah, why would you let him do that?
The
He
80s
threw
were-
it 10
the-
feet away from him.
The
Back
80s
then-
were wild.
Yeah, back then I don't even know if they had unions or anything
Yeah.
like that.
The 80s were wild.
They definitely had stunt doubles, but I don't think it was like a regular thing.
Yeah, but you hear about this stuff all the time from 80s films. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, they
People
were
that
wild.
let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Whatever could save money, if they didn't have to hire another actor, like
Yeah.
risk Kurt Russell's life, whatever.
Like
They were
Linda
like-
Blair in The Exorcist, they really fucked her up for life with the shit they made her do.
oh yeah, and then it's like you hear about these actors who are like, and that's his real reaction when they found out that was a real guillotine. They locked him in.
And then after that, they say, "It looks like everyone's fine now. Let's go find Blair, test him."
Well,
After that whole fucking scene.
McGreedy comes back and wait, is this the part that Windows is supposed to be on the ceiling when McGreedy like fucking flames him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the part. Oh, okay, yeah. So then,
Yeah.
he tests Knowles human, tests Child's human, and he tests Gary and human. And when they test Gary and he comes up like human, like nothing's wrong, he's like all calm. He's like, guys, like I love like being here or something like that. He's like,
He's like, I know
But I
you
don't-
guys have been through a lot tonight.
but I don't want to spend all season tied on his fucking couch. And he just starts to freak the fuck out. And this is and like him breaking down like that, like you could tell everyone's tired, fucking breaking down, and they're really getting agitated very easily.
Yeah. So all of us, after we can't figure out how to make the sound work.
Yes.
No, well, yeah, pretty much. I was literally mad as fuck. Knowles, Gary, McGreedy, they go out to like get Blair, and then they realize that Blair's not there, and the door's fucking open. They realize there's like planks in the floor that could easily be lifted up.
Yeah, but they leave Childs behind. They leave him behind if Blair comes in there, right? Cause
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the noose still in that room?
I don't know.
I don't know.
pay
I didn't
attention.
look. I gotta look at that. I don't know.
Like, I always keep wondering, like, did Blair hang himself? And then,
I don't know. So
yeah. We need to go back over that. 'cause
yeah,
that's
so
weird.
I'm not sure. So they like go through the planks in the floor and they go down into this like underground tunnel, and they realize that Blair's been building a small like fucking alien spaceship.
Yeah.
It looks like the flying saucer, just a mini version of it.
Yeah, man.
And they found out he's been using parts from like the helicopter and stuff, and just bringing it down like piece by piece to build this. And it makes me wonder, how long has this been taking place over?
Was
Yeah,
he
I don't know.
Yeah, was he sabotaging that helicopter and that, or like when he was sabotaging everything?
Did he do it on purpose?
Yeah, like it changes all of a sudden. Like all these motivations you once thought he had, it changes the perspective on them.
Yeah, because obviously he's not fucking human.
Obviously.
or whoever had access to that building
He's
isn't
not
human.
human. Yeah.
But it makes sense because he was the only one that's been sitting there for
Yeah.
a long period of time. So when they're like looking at that stuff, oh well, first McGreedy's like, yeah, fuck this, and he fucking throws like dynamite down into the fucking hole and blows up the tunnel and the spaceship. Knowles sees Childs like leaving the camp, and then the power goes out.
Yeah.
McGreedy says like he like wants to freeze, or that the thing wants to freeze until spring comes, because then the rescue team will come, and that's kind of like its best chance of getting out into the world.
Yeah.
And that it's smart enough to know this. And it doesn't really, like, he says they can't let that happen.
Let's warm this place up.
Yeah, he says whether they live or not, they cannot let that happen.
Yeah. So we're gonna warm things up a little bit around here. I think that's the line.
Yeah, so they use like the tractor thing to fucking ram into the station, which I'm still confused as to why the fuck they did that.
I literally don't understand because that would make it more cold inside.
They just said, "Fuck it, let's like burn. Like, we're already burning this bitch. Let's just fucking
That was
run through here."
When that happened,
Let's have some
I'm
yeehaw
so
moments.
confused.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe Childs locked the door on his way out. I don't know if there's supposed to be something else, but they just like they ran through the fucking wall with the
Yeah, I
tractor.
still can't figure out why they did that. I really can't.
And they empty out the gas of it and just set that bitch on fire. And they fucking start throwing Molotovs all through the fucking facility. Like, no fucks given. The funniest part about the Molotovs is they blow up like grenades in movies. Like, they throw it and then like 2 seconds later, instead of just like lighting shit on fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they go down into like the generator room, which I guess is below everything. And the generator's gone.
Yeah.
And McGreedy's like, well, how can we fix it? And they're like, no, the whole generator is up and like gone. Not there anymore. So they plan to bring the whole fucking place down,
So they put some more dynamite in there.
right, with C4 or dynamite, whatever the fuck it is. Dynamite, it's not C4.
Dynamite.
Gary runs into like Blair, and Blair sticks his fucking hand into
His
Gary's
head.
face.
Yeah, it's
and
so fucking
his
cool.
fingers are in his cheeks. Even that in HD looks fucking cool.
It's so fucking
Some
cool.
movies when they get transferred over look like shit. The special effects.
Yeah, they look like clay or like.
yeah, you can
goop.
tell like the
That looks like
prosthetics
it
over
looks
the-
like he's really in his face.
yeah.
It
It's
honestly looks perfect.
yeah.
And then you see him dragging him away, which makes it look better.
Yeah, he drags Gary away, and then Knowles like kind of realizes that Gary's not there, so he goes to investigate. Which I hate when people investigate. Why are people always investigating, bro?
Valentine all over again.
Stop fucking investigating.
He was looking for the people under the stairs.
Yeah, I guess. And then McCready like asks how things are going, and then realizes like he's the only person that's fucking there. There ain't nobody there. Like Knowles isn't there.
Yeah.
Gary's not there.
So what sucks about this is, I guess this is where Knowles dies,
Off screen.
but they don't show it
Right.
because they made a whole thing for him to die, and they had to cut it back because of the MPAA. And then when they showed it to test what they they showed it to a test screen, and everyone laughed at it. So like Carpenter's like, nah, fuck it, cut
What
it.
was there a description of the scene?
Is
I
it-
can't remember.
I wonder if it's in the deleted scenes or if they just trashed it all
They
together.
cut the whole thing and said, nah, we're not putting that in there because he doesn't want people to laugh at the movie.
But even deleted scenes.
Maybe, I don't know if it was.
I'll go back and rewatch
I could
it.
see Carpenter wiping it from the face of the earth altogether because it didn't fit his vision.
Unfortunately, I think those kind of things aren't his choice. Once it's filmed, I think it's the studios. They own
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
down with it too.
Producers, studios, editors.
Because I think
What's usually the studio? They own all content. That's why most of the times, like things like Silent Night, Deadly Night, when they go to like do the remastered version or the unrated versions, the scenes that they have look like shit because they're
oh my god, it's terrible.
yeah, it's like a film. It's like a recording of a film. Like it's not. They don't have the original prints anymore because usually those get thrown out if the studios don't want them. But it's the studio choice. It's not like the director or anything like that.
Right, right.
So Mac lights like fucking dynamite and he's ready to just like burn this bitch to the ground, and the floor starts to like wave towards him, almost like a
Yeah.
fucking like underground wormy.
It
Yeah.
it remind me of Tremors.
Tremors.
Yep.
Yeah, or a Resident Evil Code Veronica
Yes.
when fucking what's his name comes after you, and it knocks him over. The alien like erupts from the ground, and honestly, this is I love. It's like I don't know how to describe the shape.
Yeah, I
But-
don't know.
It's everything that the creature has really encoded into its DNA at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you see dog heads and stuff
Dog
like that.
heads, you see Vance's, Norris's head in there too.
it like opens up and the fucking like a dog shape comes out of it, and that's what I love about this. This alien never looks the same in any scenes. It really does assimilate, and I love that because there's no definite shape of it. It's not like something that
It's actively evolving, assimilating, and morphing
Right.
all the time.
yeah.
It is, and the crazy thing is, there's never, even if you want to look at that, like we laughed about the spider thing earlier,
Yeah.
that thing was still fucking creepy.
Well, the funniest part was just that it like stood
Stood there,
there,
just looked at it like, I'm screwed.
screwed.
But the reality is that there are times in movies where I feel like creature iterations, like there's usually one iteration that doesn't look good.
Hellraiser.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's honestly a good one. There are some iterations that don't look like that. One creature in the maze
Yeah.
looks horrible. Doesn't
Yes.
fit the sequence. Even then, there are times when Frank, looking back at Hellraiser, where the effects are great and the effects are,
Yeah.
but my God, the effects on this, every creature, no matter how diversified, is horrifying, terrifying, and feels real. It feels like a real creature is there.
And I think
Yeah,
one of the
does a really
scary
good job with that.
one of the scary things about this, or what is horrifying about it, is that it doesn't have a definite shape. It could be anywhere. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't. Oh, I mean,
And
you
it
can fucking.
and it tries to adapt too.
Yeah. I mean, you can fucking tell. You like that ain't right. But
When did he get 2 heads?
yeah.
That was like something I microwaved.
But I'm
Nope.
saying when it gets to its human form, it could be anyone, and
Yes.
they adapt to human life.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. And it can attack you in any way.
Yes. McCready throws the dynamite at it, and it fucking like blows that bitch up
Yes.
and the facility.
yes.
And then it kind of shows like McCready wandering through the wreckage, and he like sits down by himself. Childs comes walking up to him and asks if he's the only one who made it, and he's like, "Did you kill it?" And McCready asks where the fuck Childs was all this time, and he kind of says like, "Oh, I thought I saw Blair, and I went after him, but then I got lost in the storm."
Yeah. Which is a good answer.
Yeah,
because
it
there
really
is a storm.
Yeah, there is a storm. What they already
There's a storm of brewing.
there's a storm brewing. They already put it out there that unless you have that line to pull you back to
It
the
ain't
station,
easy to find your way back.
you can't find your way back.
You
or
had to
it's
get to the
really
next
hard.
zone.
Which after the big explosion, that's probably how he found his way back. Cause it's like, oh, maybe I should just go towards that big fireball.
That looks promising.
And then Childs kind of says like the temperature is up in the place, but it won't last long. With saying like the fire isn't going to hold
Yeah.
forever; it's going to eventually go out. And McCready says, like either will we or something like we won't last long either. And if it's cool with you guys, I want to read the dialogue at the end scene.
Sure, absolutely. It's an iconic scene.
Yeah. So Childs says, "How long will we make it?" And McCready says, "Maybe we shouldn't," because he's kind of like obviously suspicious. Child says, "If you're worried about me," and McCready cuts him off and says, "If we have any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it." And Child says, like kind of like gives a little bit of a smile, laugh, and he's like, "Well, what do we do?" And McCready says, "Why don't we just wait here for a little while, see what happens?" And then McCready hands Childs the bottle, and the score starts to play, and Childs drinks from it. And it just cuts out to the
And
camp
McGreedy
burning.
laughs as
Yeah.
he drinks it.
And the camp just comes out. The last shot is the camp just like burning,
Yeah.
and that's the end.
It is a masterful ending.
Yep.
There's so many
Truly.
different things to talk about with this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
the-
I want to get right into the ending.
So basically, from when I was a teenager and heard about this movie, because the reason I found out about it was like when the internet came around.
Yeah.
And like when I was in 9th or 10th grade, it was like 50 horror movies you always have to watch.
Yeah.
And this was one of them back in like 2003, 2000, whenever I was a freshman, 2002 in high school. And well, the internet came around for us because that's when we got like cable internet, and it wasn't like 56K AOL. But everyone always talked about. Anytime I would go on like a forum for movies or horror movies, I would do that. Like I would never post anything, but I would read what other people were talking about. And the one common thing since then was gasoline in the
So
drink.
before we talk about that, I want your opinion.
On what?
Is Childs an alien or not?
Yes.
What do you think? I just want to know what you honestly think. Like,
I always thought that he was
mm-hmm.
until I had read up that John Carpenter has explicitly stated and gone on the record saying no, Childs is not.
Well, no, he did. He said one of them is.
I'm saying when he was talking about the game, when the game came out and he accepted it as canon, he went on record and said they both survived.
Well, I know that there's an interview where he said Childs is
An alien.
an
'cause
alien,
He's not breathing.
and it's very. He goes and he went out and said, "I don't understand why people always ask me this because I thought I made it pretty clear."
I think Childs is
And
an
that's the way
alien.
John Carpenter talks. Like he's just like, I don't fucking get why people keep asking me this.
So I never played the game. So
Me
like I
neither.
said, so I can't tell if maybe Childs was in the
Big-
game because all Carpenter says is they both survived, but
That doesn't mean
that doesn't mean anything. My personal theory has always been that Childs was the alien because
Right.
he just shows up out of nowhere, convenient excuse. So it's like you're already suspicious of him. And the last time they had those bottles, they were making Molotov cocktails out of them.
Right.
So, I mean, alcohol is flammable, so they probably could use it, but they would have used gasoline. That would have made way more sense because they did that with the gasoline. That being said, when Childs takes a drink of that, like he hands it to him, right? And then Mac laughs. It's almost to me like Mac saying, "Huh, shit, he's one of them. Oh well." But like,
I think it's more like a laugh, like this motherfucker's too stupid to know that you're not supposed to drink this.
yeah,
Because as he assimilated, but he doesn't know that that's not gasoline
makes him super.
We don't know if it
or
is
kerosene,
or not, but
whatever it is.
But that's always been the assumption forever that was filled with gasoline.
But that it has to be right because the last time they had tons of bottles and they were throwing Molotovs.
But also, before Childs walks up, he's about to put it to his mouth. Mac, maybe he hears Childs coming behind him. That's the only thing that was like
yeah,
he's about to put it to him, and then Childs says something, and he stops.
yeah. But John Carpenter did also say it wasn't that made like he said like it's obvious. He mentioned nothing about that. He said it's clear whenever McCready talks in this last scene.
You see the breath.
You see the breath, but whenever they cut the child, I mean, you see it a little bit in the HD version because they can't fucking help if it's a little cold.
Yeah.
But he talks and there's no breath. With McCready, it's very obvious when he talks, he's exhaling.
Yes.
Child's no.
So another thing is too. I don't know if you guys knew this. I guess the guy that did like the principal photography and stuff and whatnot, or not that. I don't know if it was a special effects guy. He does like the stuff after the movie editing. So he put like an eye gleam, like an eye light. Whoever is good. You'll have to go back and watch the movie to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So he admitted to this. I think you have the 4K version of it or no?
I don't think
There's
so.
an interview on the new 4K Blu-ray, and he talks about how whoever's not the thing has like the little eye light, and then whoever is their eyes are darker.
Is that the one from Shout Factory?
I don't know.
Because they came out with the Steelbook, which I kind of want.
It's the 4K version Blu-ray. It says.
I gotta look to see it.
I've thought about
So-
getting it.
So yeah.
Shop
So
Factory Steelbook.
so at the end, McGreedy has the eye light, and Keith David doesn't. Child's character.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives it away if you watch that.
Yeah. So my first time I ever watched this, I thought Childs was human because I just didn't think anything of it.
Are you just going right into your review now and
No,
stuff?
no.
Okay.
I just thought the first time I ever saw it, I just thought that he was human. I just didn't think anything of it. I'm like, well, there's nothing like blatantly obvious. And I mean, even though McCready said like we're in no shape to do anything to each other, it wouldn't hurt the fucking alien to be like, well, now I'm going to simulate you. That's what's going on.
So another thing people argue now is the Thing prequel in 2011. Have either of you seen that or no?
I saw it
have.
when it first got put on DVD. I bought it and watched it, but I have not watched it since. So I literally don't remember anything
So
about it.
there's a couple scenes. I watched part of it.
I hate watching it.
Supposedly there's a scene in there
Spoiler.
where they talk about once it takes over you, it can't take like not I guess like your molars, your earrings, piercings, or anything. And so at the end of the Thing 1982, Childs has his earring in, but then that was the prequel to that, like the other
Yeah.
campsite. So who obviously they didn't think about in 82 about that, like them making a prequel 25 years later, whatever it is, 30 years later. So maybe if that was they thought about that, maybe the Thing got smarter when it went to the next campsite, and it knew how to copy earrings and stuff like that, you know.
I guess.
Because in the Thing, if you remember the prequel, they're like checking each other's molars with flashlights.
Like
I-
for fillings, you mean?
Yeah, fillings.
I
yeah.
honestly think it's a
I don't know why I
continuity
kept saying
error.
molars. I meant to say fillings.
Yeah. I was confused about that, and then that actually, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a continuity error that with the earring, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with Carpenter's original. I mean, that's what threw me off too because I had always heard that Carpenter had said it's in the breath, or that it had alluded to it being in the breath.
Yeah.
And so when I watched the HD version, I was looking at it, I was like, but I see a little poof in the HD,
But-
but I realized you can't hide it in the HD version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm along with you. When I first watched this, I did not suspect anything. when I was a kid. When I first watched this film, I was like, dang, that's just sad. These guys are gonna die out there.
Because to me, it was like there's no reason. I don't see they don't put it out there that he is. So why would he be? But like now that I'm older, it kind of makes sense when you look into shit more. I should say.
I don't know. Maybe they did it that way because they thought like, well, we leave one of them monster. Say the studio wants to make a second thing, and we still have the opportunity to because now the rescue team comes. You know.
And the main character is still
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess we'll get into the review. I don't know. Rob, do you want to go first? Do you want to make that a thing if it's your movie? You want to go first or last? We should just do that.
Yeah.
Decide
Sure.
which one. So
Yeah,
do you want
that's
to go
fine.
first or last if it's yours?
I think last.
Okay. So do you want to talk about it? You want me to
Yeah.
talk about it?
I'll talk about it. It's
Alright.
fine. Yeah. So the first time I ever saw this movie, I was probably 9th grade, 10th grade, and I didn't like it a whole lot. But then the more I saw it, I was like, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The more I watch it, I love this movie. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite horror movies that I don't talk about enough. One thing I hate in this movie, I cannot fucking stand, is when they cut scenes and it just goes to a black screen. And then it goes to the next scene. I fucking hate that. It drives me nuts.
There's one scene where I think it's Blair or Copper that they're on who's talking, and it goes to a still frame of him and then black.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. But yeah.
That's the one thing that like annoys me about this movie. I don't know like what else to say about it other than I think it is a masterpiece. My favorite kill is the hand. Well, I guess that if we're doing that, the hand kill is so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
When and I don't even have a least favorite death because there's two stupid shootings that don't matter. You know, it would be either of those. The Clark and the fucking Norwegian guy at the beginning. But I think it does. This movie does everything. The score is good. Like how ominous it is, I guess I would say everything is perfect with it. I don't know how back then they didn't like it. It doesn't make sense to me how they didn't like this movie, and how much praise it gets now. It's like almost a perfect movie, a perfect horror sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
I give it an 8 out of 10. I would go higher if it didn't have the fucking stupid black scene ending things, whatever they're called. Those drove me nuts. Like I haven't seen this movie probably since 2011. 2011 when The Thing came out, and I was gonna go watch it, and only watched half of it anyway. So I totally forgot about that, and I'm like, as this happened, I'm like, why the fuck is this happening? And then I remember, I'm like, okay, this fucking shit sucks. So, what do you think about it, Kyle?
Well, I think the black screen thing could have been because of like television. They were preparing for that because like for it to be shown on television. That's my guess for that. I honestly don't know why they would do that because that is kind of it's off-putting, that part.
Yeah.
I like this movie a lot. I don't know why anyone wouldn't. Again, like you said,
Yeah.
I think it was ahead of its time, and that's why people don't get it. I think that the effects were ahead of its time, and that's another thing that people just didn't get. For me, my least favorite kill is probably either Fuchs or fucking Knowles because they don't ever show it, or even Blair, I guess, because they never show what happens to him. My favorite kill, I don't know. Like it's hard to say who dies and when because sometimes they get assimilated and sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think that defibrillator kill is so iconic,
It's
and
so cool.
I love it how they did that, and I'm so glad they went with somebody who was an amputee, and they didn't just try to half-ass it somehow. So I have to agree there with that. For me, I always hear people give this a perfect 10 out of 10, and I don't think it's. Maybe I'm gonna say it's a 9. It's up there with It Follows to me. I would watch this anytime. I think the pacing is great, even though it's an hour and 49 minutes. It is up there a little bit in terms of horror movies, the length, but it doesn't feel that long when you just watch it straight. And I love that about it. There's no like downtime in it, and it's all just like plot. It's not filler like sometimes they fucking do.
Let me cut you off real quick. But I know I read something that Carpenter said, like when he like finished shooting, he's like, it feels like there's too many scenes where people are just talking. So then they went back and reshot stuff to make it better. The scenes where they were talking,
Yeah.
like stuff would happen.
To kind of like
Yeah,
fix the pacing of it.
yeah.
I think the pacing's great. I would say a 9 out of 10. I know a lot of people make it perfect and 10 out of 10 and that kind of stuff, but I don't know. There's something that not that I think many movies are better than this, to be completely honest, but I think there are a couple movies out there that do top this, and I think that's what's keeping it from perfect 10 for me. There's not much I would change about it at all. I wish I was alive to see it in theaters, honestly, when it came out. That's all I really have to say about it. The effects are obviously great. The score is great. John Carpenter's the fucking man. And that's really it.
I'm sure they'll do like well, they'll bring it back in movies. You know how they do with horror movies, like they do that shit all
Yeah.
the time.
For like anniversaries or something.
Yeah, the movie is perfect with pace. Like it does such a good job where you're not like, well, this is boring now.
And I love how you never know who the fuck, like, you even watching this a million times, you can only guess who the fuck that
Yeah.
person in that room was, the shadow, the person that ran past Fuchs' room.
Honestly, after watching it I watched it on Tuesday. I'm recording on Thursday. I wanted to watch it like again. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this like this weekend. I feel like.
Yeah. And I've seen people try to break down who's who at what part, and I think it's kind of impossible. And I like that it's always mysterious, and that John Carpenter did shit to make sure that you don't know and you're always thrown off and you can't figure shit out. I don't know. Uncle Robbie, how do you feel about this shit?
So when I first saw this film, I was undoubtedly young. I was able to catch it on probably HBO or Cinemax back in the day when they had like a 1 or 2 horror movies they'd be running at a time. And I remember seeing this as a kid and I couldn't get through it. It terrified me. It just freaked me out. But at the same time, it fascinated me. I really thought that guy's arms got ripped off. As a kid, I was like, and
That's dedication.
But that's an experience. Like as a kid, you get freaked out by things sometimes because you think that they're real, and the effects are so magnificent. And even looking at it today, to me, they're just as magnificent as they were. They hold up beautifully. I agree with a lot of your sentiments. The film's pacing is incredible. What has always done it for me is the realistic nature of the film, how everyone's reactions feel natural, dialogue feels natural, reactions natural. Combine that with an incredible, when I talk about movie sound design, and I know I've said it several times and I'm going to keep hitting back at it, I'm not just talking about the music that's being played. I'm talking about what do you do with sound. And the most important thing is, and I learned this growing up being involved with music, when is the best use for the absence of sound? And people don't realize the value of stillness, of quiet. And there are so many times in this film where everything fades back and it's just the sound of the wind. And It Follows did that too. It Follows did that several times where it pulled back its music. It pulled back a lot and allowed natural ambiance to set the scene. So I definitely have to say that the sound is an actor in this film as well. And it really does take it to a next level. I love this film. It is one of my all-time favorite, not just horror movies, but one of my all-time favorite movies. I feel that it is a masterpiece. Does it have its shortcomings? Sure, it has editing issues here and there. But I don't know. There's just something about when I watch this movie. There's something about when I watch this movie that it takes me back, and I love it more every time I watch it. And that is a rare thing for me. I love it more every time I watch it. That being said, my favorite kill, it's got to be the iconic defibrillator. I can't go outside of that. Knowles is my least favorite kill. I think that they did such a good job. How are you going to carry a character all the way to the final 3 and then off-screen him? It sucks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that they did a good job. He was an unlikely candidate to carry to the top 3, and he made it. and I wish that I'd seen him go, but rest in peace, buddy. Good job. Here's where I struggle. I want to give it a 10 out of 10. I want to give it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think personally, on a personal level, as personal interest, I would give it a 10 out of 10. If I really needed to be objective here and just try to like take my own personal love for this out of it, I would go down one notch to a 9. But I'm going to give it what I feel it deserves. This was so ahead of its time, and it is a terrible tragedy that it was not beloved the way it should have been. And I feel so horrible for John Carpenter, and I can only imagine the agony it must have caused him to see such a wonderful piece of film just shit on and not given the respect it was deserved in the time. And I'm sure it broke his heart in a lot of ways. But I'm so glad that he now gets to revel today in the knowledge that it is truly appreciated, that it has set a new landmark for sci-fi horror cinema. And to me, there's not that many other sci-fi horror films in general that could touch The Thing. There's one in particular that I can think of, and I'm sure we're going to cover it at some point. That being said, I'm going with a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend it. If you have not seen The Thing, what the fuck are you doing? Get off this podcast. Go on Amazon, YouTube, whatever. Sit down and rent it and watch it. You will be thankful for it. On a side note, we didn't talk about it, but there was a public television cut of this film that I saw when I was very young, and it totally destroys the film. I don't know if any of you ever saw it.
No.
It's on TNT or whatever back in the day. So the big difference is it starts off with a narration.
And it's longer, right? The movie's longer.
Yes,
than this one.
because
Yeah.
what they did was
It's got to fill the 2 hours with them cutting it.
Yes. So what happened is the whole beginning sequence during the dog chase thing, they jump cut to characters and they introduce them with narration like Windows, the radio operator, isolated.
I did. Yeah. I
And
remember
you're
that.
just like, it just,
Oh, you're right. I
it-
do remember that.
yeah, it set them up. And then what they did was they couldn't show the gore on TNT. So a lot of extra scenes of them talking, the ones that Carpenter cut out because he didn't like the pacing, they put back in to fill out the scenes where they had to cut out with gore. So it became like this long mashed up thing. And I remember there was a time where I watched that version. I was like, I fucking hate this movie. This is terrible. What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
And then I went back and I watched the original. I was like, oh my God, they butchered it. They literally
I'm
destroyed
going to
the
watch
film.
that cut.
Yeah, it changes the whole tone of the film. Please, God, stop. Don't do that
We
anymore.
gotta find the VHS one too.
Man, but all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for letting me pick this one, and thank you so much for everyone for listening to our review of this one. I hope that you're able to see it, and if you've already seen it, I hope you appreciated all of our commentary on it. So, back to the host of the most.
So that means we're gonna move on to the next movie.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Okay, so the next movie is a listener pick, and the movie is Puppet Master from 1989. It's our first listener pick. I'm down to do more of these. We just have to actually get people to listen and then people to recommend shit or ask for it. I don't know how we're going to go about deciding when we're going to do these. This one was just asked early on of us, and we just decided to give Rob a little bit of a break between his picks to give him more time to think. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to go with next time. And I guess that's it. So nobody rated us since we last recorded, but if you give us a rate and review on Apple Podcast, we will read it out loud. We prefer 5s, but the honest truth is good too. And that really helps out for new podcasts like us. So if you listen to this, please, please, please rate and review us. Try not to use any curse words or anything like that, because
No cuss words.
yeah, then Apple will not post it. But make it as fun as you want. You can say whatever you want, be silly, and we'll read it. Hopefully make us laugh. If you want to email us, you can always email us at vintagehorrorpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at vintagehorrorpodcast. You can get at us on Twitter at vintagehorror _. I think we need to get a little bit more active on there, but that's pretty much it. If you want our individual Instagrams or Twitters, you can always just ask us or something like that. And that's everything for us. See ya.
Peace out.
Bye.